Chapter 385. Nine-colored spirit Rain Qin Yun entered a quiet secret chamber and took out many bee skins. He was prepared to make the flags needed for the flag array. I need about 50 array flags to cover the entire medicinal garden. He looked at the bee skins in his storage space. It was still enough. Originally, he had planned to refine array pillars. Using array pillars to set up a large formation would be much more effective than using a flag array. However, it would take a long time to refine an array pillar. This was because the materials needed to refine an array pillar were all hard materials and the grade requirements were also high. It could not be completed in a short period of time. If he wanted to refine a flag array, then he would only need to create flags. Right now, Qin Yin was tidying up the bee skins. More than 2 hours later, Yuan Yinying finished watering the spirit herb field. Qin Yin opened the door to the secret chamber and asked her to come in and help. Yuan Yinying was at the martial Dao realm. With her help in dealing with the bee skins, it would save Qin Yin a lot of time. Right now, Qin Yin was only refining the flags for the flag array. He did not need to deal with the bee skins like he did with the bee skin spirit array. Because the bee skin spirit array had to bear a lot of energy, it needed to be stabilized by refining bone steel. Because there were many flags in the flag array to disperse the pressure, there was no need to refine bone steel when making the flags. However, there was still a need to go through some processing to make the bee skin fit the spirit inscriptions. When inscribing the spirit inscriptions, it would be even more distinct. The process of processing was relatively simple. After cutting the bee skin, he would inject the Vajra inner force of the martial Dao realm into it, allowing the beast's skin to contain energy. Then, he would burn the beast's skin once, allowing the beast's skin to absorb energy and fit the spirit inscriptions. Finally, he just needed to inscribe spirit inscriptions on the flag. With Yuan Yinying's help, Qin Yin was able to make 10 flags in a day. They were all triangular flags that were as tall as a person. The flagpole was made of ordinary iron rods that could be inserted into the ground. After the flag was made, he still needed to inscribe spirit inscriptions. This was the most difficult part. In 5 days, Qin Yun and Yuan Yinying had completed 50 flags. I just need to inscribe the spirit inscriptions now. Qin Yun took a deep breath. He also felt a headache. To inscribe the same spirit inscription on 50 flags was indeed a headache. Brother, your inscription level is very high. Although I don't understand it, it's more powerful than many of the inscription masters I've heard of. Yuan Yinying exclaimed when she saw Qin Yun holding the mental resonance Xian pen. Qin Yun only responded with a smile. The spirit inscriptions he needed to inscribe were extremely complicated. First, he had to inscribe the spirit inscriptions needed for the entire set of 9 Yang spirit convergence array onto a small flag before fusing it into the water gathering array. This was the fusion of 2 spirit formations. It was not difficult to inscribe 2 spirit arrays separately. The difficult part was to combine the spirit arrays so that they did not conflict with each other and could even complement each other. The 9 Suns spirit convergence array is responsible for gathering a large amount of 9 suns' spiritual energy. Then, the water gathering array will quickly absorb the gathered 9 suns' spiritual energy and condense it into spirit liquid. Qin Yin did not know if it would work. It was just his imagination. Looks like I need 2 sets of flag arrays. As Qin Yin inscribed the spirit inscriptions, he pondered. Because after condensing the 9 suns' spirit liquid, a flag array was needed to gather the spiritual liquid and float it in the air, then evenly sprinkle it over the medicine field. I just need to add a rain spirit array. Qin Yun said to Yuan Yinying, Yinying, go find the second elder and ask him if he has set up a rain spirit array. All right. Yuan Yinying hurriedly left. An ordinary rain spirit array would only gather the water in the air and then let the water fall. It was also a very simple type of spirit array. This kind of array was usually a flag array because it could cover a large area. After all, it was an array. If the second elder had it, Qin Yin would not need to refine it. Yuan Yinying quickly returned. He took out dozens of flags from his storage bag. The second elder said that he hasn't used it in a long time. Before using it, He needs to use his inner force to comb through the spirit inscriptions. Yuan Yinying said. "Hm. Yinying, I'll leave this to you," Qin Yun said with a smile. "It's a very simple matter." Under Qin Yun's guidance, Yuan Yinying had also mastered the technique of combing through the spirit inscriptions. It was indeed very simple. After all, it was only the spirit inscriptions on a flag. Qin Yun looked at the many flags that were waiting to be inscribed. He wished that he could immediately go to the Moon Profound Valley and kidnap Lan Fengjin to help him. After all, he was still too young. When he carried out this kind of repetitive and highly concentrated flag production, he appeared rather impetuous. Fortunately, he was able to quickly overcome the impetuousness in his heart and quietly and seriously inscribe. He had the mental resonance Xian pen, so he was much faster when inscribing spirit inscriptions. 50 flags meant that he had to inscribe the 9 Yang spirit convergence array 50 times. One could imagine how complicated the spirit inscriptions of a great formation were. Now, he wanted to concentrate them on a single flag. It took him 5 days to complete a single flag. To other spirit inscriptionists, Qin Yun's speed was very fast. Most importantly, other inscription masters were unable to inscribe such complicated array patterns on such a small flag. Actually, to create a set of flag array, there was no need for all the flags to have the same spirit inscriptions. It was possible to inscribe multiple sets of spirit inscriptions needed for a large formation on different flags. For example, 10 flags would use a set of spirit inscriptions. If a large formation required 7 sets of spirit inscriptions, then one would be able to achieve the effect of a large formation by inscribing a set of spirit inscriptions on every 10 flags. Of course, the more scattered, the weaker the power of the flag array. And Qin Yun's method could make the power of the flag array very strong. The advantage of the mental resonant Xian pen was that the Xian pen and the user had a telepathic connection. After Qin Yun familiarized himself with a type of inscription, he would use the mental resonance Xian pen to inscribe it. Then, he would be able to directly inscribe it without using his brain. Under the control of the mental resonance Xian pen's miraculous ability, his body consciously injected the power of his blood soul. It was as if his hand and the Xian pen had fused together. Naturally and smoothly, he was able to quickly inscribe complex and profound spirit inscriptions. After Qin Yun finished crafting the 2 flags, his speed became faster and faster. Previously, it had taken him 5 days to inscribe runes on the flag, but now it had only been 3 days. The more familiar he was, the faster he was. Later on, he would be able to make a flag in half a day. The total amount of time it took for 50 flags was only slightly more than a month. It was much faster than he had expected. After he was done, Qin Yun asked Yuan Yinying to invite the second elder over to plant the flag. When the second elder arrived, he picked up the golden flag that Qin Yun had refined and looked at it. He was so shocked that his jaw nearly dislocated. This, you made it? The second elder's chubby expression of surprise made Yuan Yinying unable to help but laugh. "Yes, I just made it." Qin Yun chuckled and said, "This is also the first time I've made a flag array, so I've invited second elder to plant the flag." "First time?" The second elder was shocked once again. Of course, he could tell that these were all brand new flags. However, he never expected that it would be Qin Yun's first time making them. Qin Yun nodded and said, "I saw that Yinying's process of watering the medicinal field was very troublesome, so I wanted to make it more convenient for her. If nothing unexpected happens, the flag array that I made, combined with the second elder's rain flag array, I think, under the control of a person, it should be able to quickly gather the 9 suns' spiritual energy and condense it into the 9 yang spirit liquid. Then, like rain, it will irrigate all the medicinal fields in the medicinal garden." The second elder's eyes widened. "Little Yin, do you know what this means?" "What does it mean?" "This should be very common. The other Xian sects must have it as well." Qin Yin smiled. The second elder let out a long sigh of relief and said, "Only a king-level sect has this kind of flag array." If it really succeeds, then it means we have a medicinal garden that only a king-level sect has. The other Xian sects only have better qi gathering formations and water gathering formations. They still have to be done one by one and not a complete set. Qin Yun said with a frown, I think that if someone were to do it step by step, the effect should be about the same as using the flag array to complete it automatically. I just want Yinying to not waste so much time and effort. When Yuan Yinying heard this, she chuckled happily. The second elder shook his head and said, It's completely different. Qi gathering, watering, these are 3 steps. During the interval, the spiritual energy will dissipate a lot, causing the final spirit liquid to not contain much 9-yang energy. If we can produce an extremely high-quality spirit liquid in one go, and it requires less resources, then it's very worth it. It can also increase the number of watering, allowing the spirit herbs to grow faster. The quality of the spirit herbs is also very good. Moreover, some spirit herbs need to absorb spirit liquid many times in order to grow. If we have this flag array, then we can grow some spirit herbs that are very difficult to grow. Qin Yun never expected that there would be so many ways to grow spirit herbs. Yuan Yinying nodded repeatedly. Brother, this formation of yours can allow our 9 extinction profound gate to rise quickly. Let's not talk about it anymore. Let's give it a try and see if we can succeed. The second elder was also extremely excited as he hurriedly set up a flag array with Qin Yun in the medicinal garden. It took them more than 2 hours to set up the array flags. At this moment, it was noon, the time when the 9 blazing suns were at their most intense. We need to put some purple coins in the middle for the flag array to absorb and activate the spirit inscriptions. When the second elder inserted the flag, he had asked Qin Yun about the production process. As for Qin Yun's explanation, it was very simple. It was as if he was drawing a picture. It made the second elder feel like dying. He also realized that Qin Yun's inscription talent was terrifyingly high. The second elder placed 10,000 purple coins in the middle of the medicinal garden and nodded at Qin Yun. Qin Yun activated the spirit inscriptions within a flag, and the entire set of 9 suns spirit rain formation flags lit up. Very quickly, a layer of 9 colored clouds condensed above the medicinal garden. Walala! It was raining. The rain that fell was golden in color and accompanied by 9 colored spiritual energy. It was a very pure 9 suns spirit liquid. Yuan Yinying was so happy that she danced with joy. The second elder also entered the rain and opened his arms wide as he laughed happily. It's a success, it's a success. The second elder laughed loudly. Only after an hour did the formation stop. The entire medicinal garden was enveloped in a 9-colored glow. It was very beautiful, as if it was a fairyland on earth. Every time the formation is activated, it will cost 10,000 purple coins. It's worth it. Watering it 3 times a day would cost 30,000. The second elder said, 1 month would require nearly 1,000,000 purple coins. Is this still worth it? Qin Yun said with a frown, somewhat puzzled. Little Yin, you might not know this, but if you water it like this for half a year, the spirit medicine will mature once in half a year. It can be sold for tens of millions of purple coins. This is a guaranteed profit. The second elder chuckled and said, if we plant better spirit herbs, we can sell them for a higher price. Chapter 386. Ancient Garden. The flag array, created by Qin Yun, not only made it easier for Yuan Yinying to water the spirit herbs, it was also of great help to the 9 extinction gate. The second elder said, the sect leader will be able to recover very soon. At that time, he will definitely be very happy. For many years, he has been hoping that I would be able to create this kind of flag array. I never thought that I would succeed after so long, and little Yun, you would be able to create it not long after you entered our 9 extinction gate. How amazing! The second elder felt that accepting Qin Yun as his disciple was like picking up a treasure. Qin Yun smiled. He asked, the sect leader is an alchemist. What level is he at? He is a Xian alchemist. Many of the resources of our 9 extinction profound gate were accumulated through his own hard work. It's all our elders' fault for being useless and not putting in much effort. The second elder said in shame. A Xian alchemist was the same as a Xian inscription master. They were extremely important to a Xian sect. The second elder was also at the peak of the spirit realm, but he was already an intermediate level Xian inscription master. This was also very powerful. Yuan Yinying walked through the medicinal field and looked at the flowers and grass that were enveloped by the nine-colored spiritual energy. She was very happy. Suddenly, a beautiful white bird flew towards Yuan Yinying and chirped. Yuan Yinying held the little bird and said with a frown, "Second elder, there's a spirit pigeon outside. It should be here to deliver a message." "All right, I'll go and take a look at the letter sent by the spirit pigeon." The second elder hurriedly left. Qin Yin went to inspect the flag arrays and taught Yuan Yinying how to use them. After Yuan Yinying learned how to use the flag array, she went to wash the feathers of a dirty bird. "Yinying, what is your martial spirit?" Qin Yin asked curiously. "I don't know either. My martial spirit is a ball of red, but it can also allow me to cultivate a very strong inner force. Although my Tao energy is powerful, I still don't know what type of Tao energy it is." Yuan Yinying shook her head. "You can communicate with birds and beasts. Is it because of your martial spirit?" Qin Yin asked curiously. "It should be. My martial spirit wasn't like that at first, but it changed later on." Yuan Yinying was also puzzled as she nodded. Qin Yin recalled that Feng Honglan's red orchid martial soul was also red. If it wasn't a common colored martial spirit, it would be a variant martial spirit. "Let me see." Qin Yin placed his hand on Yuan Yinying's abdomen and probed it. Soon, he saw a red martial spirit inside the Tao core. He said with some surprise, "There's a flame aura, but it is being suppressed." "Really? Then is it possible for me to condense a flame?" Yuan Yinying said in pleasant surprise. "It should be possible." Qin Yin nodded. Yuan Yinying smiled happily and said, "Sect leader said that I have the talent to grow spiritual herbs and have a special feeling for spiritual herbs. It's very suitable for alchemy, but I don't have a fire martial spirit, which is a pity. Otherwise, I would be able to learn alchemy from him." Qin Yin felt that using the soul refining art to refine the fire soul into Yuan Yinying's body would make up for her regret. However, he also thought that Yuan Yinying's martial spirit was rather special and was currently in a state of growth. If he were to act recklessly, it would also affect her. The second elder returned with a small piece of paper. He handed it to Qin Yin and said, "Little Yin, this is a message for you." Qin Yin received it and was slightly surprised. The person who sent the message was Hong Yin, the ninth prince of Hongwu country. Hong Yin had successfully entered the king-level sect, the Fire King sect. A month later, a celebration banquet would be held in the Hongwu Palace. In addition, the Fire King sect would also hold a pill competition. However, only Xian alchemists could participate. Hong Yin also said that if Wei Zhongjing's injuries were healed, he could participate in the pill competition. The rewards would be very generous. There's still a month. Will the sect leader be able to make it in time? Qin Yin looked at the second elder and asked. He should be able to make it in time. I have to say, this brat Hong Yin really has some ability. He has been accepted as a disciple of the Fire King sect. The second elder said with a smile, "You have to know that if you want to enter a king-level sect, you have to reach the 5th level of the martial Tao realm. Then, you have to compete with the disciples of many Xian sections. If you enter the top 8, you will have the chance to participate in the king-level sect's examination." Yuan Yinying said, "Is there an age limit?" "Under the age of 50, 5th level of the martial Tao realm." The second elder smiled. "All of you work hard. If you can enter a king-level sect, then our 9 extinction Profound Gate will have a backer. The reason why the Sword Profound Mountain is so powerful is because they have 2 disciples in a king-level sect. Those 2 disciples are at the Xian martial realm, and they entered a king-level sect very early on. Qin Yin had previously learned from Hong Yin that if he were to enter a king-level sect, the sect he originally belonged to would continue to support him and provide him with all sorts of resources. This was because the competition in the king-level sects was very cruel. If one wanted to stand out, they would have to rely on the support of their original sect. Therefore, after entering a king-level sect, there was a great deal of connection between them and the Xian sect they originally belonged to. When a sect leader's injuries are not healed, I will also make a trip to the Hongwu Palace. Qin Yun still wanted to retrieve the magical beast crystal egg. Hong Mengshu had already sent someone to buy it for him. The second elder nodded. We'll talk about it when the time comes. I'll go back to work first. He still needed to forge artifacts for his disciples. He had a lot of things to do. As for Qin Yun, he headed to the library of the Nine Extinction Profound Gate to look up some information. The library of the Nine Extinction Profound Gate was not small either. There were several floors in the tower. They were all records of the various things that had happened in the martial desolate land or all sorts of legends. Although Qin Yun was interested, it would take him a lot of time to finish reading the records. And the book he came here to find was to solve the problem. He wandered around the first floor and didn't know where to start searching. He went to find the old man in charge of the library. Old Grandpa, have you heard of an ancient garden? Where are the relevant books? Qin Yun asked. From the second pearl of the Nine Yang Divine Spirit, he obtained the ancient Era's Garden Pass. When the old man heard this, his eyes widened and he said, An ancient garden? That is an extremely terrifying, forbidden area. It's near the road of the Thorny Devil. In the very ancient times, the magical Desolate, Demon Desolate, and Martial Desolate, these three powerful beings of the Great Desolate, built a very powerful region. There are 3 desolate veins of the Great Desolate, so there are all kinds of medicinal herbs and powerful beasts living there. But later on, the 3 powerful creatures of the Great Desolate Land fought inside and destroyed it. Then, the experts from the Spirit Desolate sealed off the ancient garden. Qin Yun said with a frown, Spirit Desolate. The old man nodded. Legend has it that in the land of the 9 suns, there are 9 great desolate lands. The weakest ones are the Martial Desolate, Demon Desolate, and Beast Desolate. Above these 3 weakest desolate lands are the Spirit Desolate and Magical Desolate lands. Later on, some of the devil cultivators of the Magical Desolate land entered the Beast Emperor and occupied the Beast Desolate land. The Beast Desolate land also became the Magical Beast Desolate land, which is also commonly known as the Magical Desolate Land. When Qin Yun heard this, he understood why there were so many magical beasts in the Magical Desolate Land. It turned out that it had been occupied by the devil cultivators. Now, although he knew about the ancient garden, he did not know what use the token had. Then does the ancient garden still exist? Qin Yun asked. It should still exist, but it's been sealed. As for what happened inside, I don't know. The old man shook his head and said with a smile, I heard it from his seniors. Thank you, Grandpa. After thanking him, Qin Yun hurriedly returned to the medicinal field. Yuan Yinying was cultivating in the secret chamber, and Qin Yun did not disturb her. He also entered the secret chamber. However, he did not cultivate. Instead, he took out the mysterious pill scripture. I need to refine some medicine refining equipment. Qin Yun looked at the blueprints of the medicine refining equipment in mysterious pill scripture and pondered. In order to concoct pills and make medicines, one needed to have a very good concoction equipment. If I can refine those tools, even Yinying can use them to refine medicine. Qin Yun also recalled that a senior had told him before that alchemy was closely related to the Tao of inscriptions. He looked at the blueprints and felt that the most difficult part of making medicine refining equipment was to inscribe star runes. If I can create these things, I might be able to become an alchemist as well. Qin Yun was secretly excited. There were 2 common types of alchemy equipment. They were used to refine medicinal powder and medicinal liquid. From the blueprints, Qin Yun could see that they were all in the shape of jars. As long as the medicinal ingredients were placed into the jar and injected internal force into it, the jar would be able to refine the medicinal ingredients into powder. Refining medicinal liquid was about the same. If it's pill refining, then you need to follow the pill formula and mix the medicinal powder and medicinal liquid into a medicinal paste. Then, you need to put it into the furnace and control the fire to dry it and condense it into a pill. During the process of drying and solidifying, you also need to constantly put in medicinal liquid and medicinal powder or inject energy. After Qin Yin carefully looked at the items, he had a rough understanding of the process of refining pills. Many alchemists had to hire an inscription master to refine tools, and the quality of the tools also determined the quality of the pills. The pill tools sold on the market should all be inscribed with ordinary spirit runes. Qin Yin looked at the mysterious pill scripture in his hand. The alchemy runes on it were all star runes and moon runes. The difficulty is to inscribe star runes. I have to try using star runes. Qin Yin took out a piece of paper and used the mental resonance Xian pen to condense the power of the blood soul to inscribe star runes on the paper. Right now, the star runes he was inscribing were spirit-level alchemy star runes. The alchemy star runes looked messy, as if a child was randomly drawing on a piece of paper with a pen, or perhaps it was scratched on the ground by a chicken. There was no rhyme or reason to it at all. That was why he felt a headache the moment he saw it. Even if it was a very high-level spirit rune or Xian rune, one could see the overall regularity, so it was easier to learn and master. Star runes and moon runes were a mess. If he were to draw the bright and dark lines and show them to a spirit inscription master, he might laugh at him for drawing ghost runes. Even in the martial desolate, there weren't many people who could recognize moon runes and star runes. Previously, the Xian inscription master Qin Yin had met in the Divine Inscription Palace did not understand moon runes. Qin Yin had originally thought that star runes would be difficult to grasp, but when he linked them on paper, he unexpectedly discovered that they were very easy to draw. Unknowingly, he had grasped the smooth route of drawing star runes. This spirit-level star rune seems to be easier to master than royal-grade spirit runes. Could it be because I cultivate the Star Yang Heart Sutra? Qin Yin suddenly thought of this. The reason why he had passed the inscription gates assessment was because of the Star Yang Heart Sutra. From this, it could be seen that after mastering the Star Yang Heart Sutra, learning star runes and moon runes would be even easier. Chapter 387. 387 Chapter 387 Medicine, Refining Spirit Artifact. Refining pills and tools alone was also a challenge for a spirit inscription master. There weren't many spirit inscriptionists who could refine pills and tools because they needed to master the rare alchemy runes. Spirit inscriptionists without alchemy runes could only let other inscriptionists carve them after they finished refining the tools. Moreover, good medicinal pills and equipment required blueprints. For example, what Qin Yin was currently refining had a complete set of blueprints. Furthermore, there were many different types of tools. I'll just refine the most commonly used ones first. After Qin Yin familiarized himself with the alchemy star runes, he felt that he wouldn't encounter any problems refining tools according to the blueprints. Alchemy star runes were rarer than other alchemy runes. As for what effects they had, Qin Yin was not sure either. He needed to understand the process of refining pills in order to understand the differences between him and others. A commonly used tool can turn a variety of spirit medicines into medicinal powder and liquid. What Qin Yin was currently refining was a jar. Special refining tools were used to refine special spirit medicines and were not commonly used. The jar he was currently refining had an ordinary appearance, just like a wine jar. As for the alchemy star runes, they were carved on the inside of the jar and not on the outside. There were two types of alchemy star runes that needed to be carved. When these two types of alchemy star runes were combined, they could turn spirit medicines into medicinal powder. This kind of alchemy tool was usually called a powder refining spirit artifact. As for the medicinal liquid, it was called a medicinal liquid spirit artifact. Qin Yin used top-grade bone steel to refine 4 jars. In order to prevent failure, he refined 4 jars in one go. The next step was to carve the alchemy star runes. Due to the special nature of the star runes, he only needed to carve the 2 alchemy star runes. It wouldn't take too long. Qin Yun held the mental resonance Xian pen in his hand and earnestly carved. He discovered that it was unexpectedly smooth. This spirit-level star rune is actually so simple. When he was carving, he couldn't believe it. He suspected even more that the main purpose of the Star Yang Heart Sutra was to easily control star runes and moon runes. In just 2 days, he had finished carving a jar. He stayed in the secret room for 10 days and refined 4 alchemy tools. There were 2 powder refining and 2 medicinal liquid refining tools. After that, he comfortably soaked in a hot bath and then went to rest. He rested until dawn, put on his gray clothes, and ran out of the room excitedly. In the morning, it was raining over the Her Garden. It was the 9-colored spirit rain. Yuan Yinying could skillfully control the 2 flag arrays. Every time it was time to water the elixirs, she would take out the purple crystal coins, put them in a position, and then activate the flag array. "Brother, have you been cultivating in seclusion for the past 10 days? Yuan Yinying giggled. She was wearing a thin red dress and was playing in the spiritual rain in the herb garden. Her whole body was drenched, and it also outlined the beautiful curves of her body. Qin Yun said with a smile, "Yinying, I refined 2 alchemy tools. Do you want to give it a try?" All right. When Yuan Yinying heard that, she was overjoyed and hurriedly ran over. Qin Yun looked at her drenched body and smiled. Then, he released a strange warmth that enveloped her curvaceous and moist body. Not long after, the clothes on Yuan Yinying's body were dried. Qin Yun and Yuan Yinying sat on the threshold of the ancient bronze building's door and fiddled with the 2 jars. Logically speaking, using tools to refine medicinal powder and liquid does not require the use of flames. As long as a certain amount of energy is injected, the alchemy runes in the tool will circulate. Qin Yun handed a jar to Yuan Yinying and said, "This is a powder refining spirit artifact. What level is it?" Yuan Yinying was even more impressed by Qin Yun. He was actually able to refine extremely expensive alchemy tools. "I'm not sure either." Qin Yun shook his head and smiled. As it was refined using star runes, there was no standard for evaluation. He could not tell what level it was. Yuan Yinying had also read many alchemy books, so she knew a thing or 2. She hurriedly took out a fruit and placed it in the jar. She said, "This fruit is a royal-grade spirit medicine. It can cure many poisons. If it can be refined in a powder and applied to the poisonous wounds, it will quickly heal." Royal-grade spirit medicine. "Yinying, where did you get it?" Qin Yun asked in surprise. "I found it in the Martial Desolate. Big Tiger Head brought me to find it." Yuan Yinying smiled as she placed her hands on both sides of the jar. Then, she closed her eyes and used her mental power to sense the runes inside. After sensing the inscription, she injected her inner force into it. There's a reaction. Yuan Yinying opened her eyes in pleasant surprise and looked at the slightly trembling jar. The effect seems to be pretty good. It can be used to refine royal-grade spirit medicines. That's a royal-grade spirit artifact. After saying that, she looked at Qin Yun in shock. To be able to refine a royal-grade spirit artifact, he was the strongest spirit inscription master, a royal-grade spirit inscription master. Yuan Yinying did not believe it either. Qin Yun was a royal-grade spirit inscription master. She was alarmed and uncertain. In the Divine Inscription Palace, the royal-level spirit inscription master examination was conducted at a fixed time for multiple spirit inscription masters to be tested. The Royal Grade Spirit Inscription Master Examination required a lot of time. If it was unified, it would not be so troublesome for the invigilators. It was said that the examination would sometimes last as long as a month. After an hour, Yuan Yinying opened the lid, and the smell of medicinal powder wafted out. She hurriedly took out a jade box and poured out the golden medicinal powder. "Brother, look, the quality of this medicinal powder is very good. It's crystal clear." Yuan Yinying was very happy. "I'll give these 2 jars to you. In the future, you will have to refine more medicinal powders and liquids. That way, you will be able to earn more purple coins. If I don't have any more purple coins to spend, I'll come back and find you." Qin Yun said with a smile. Yuan Yinying nodded happily as she hugged the 2 jars tightly. She loved them so much that she could not bear to part with them. Wild girl, what's in the jar? Is it the pickled vegetables you pickled? Why are you laughing so happily? Can you eat it now? A benevolent laughter suddenly came from outside the medicinal garden's gate. Qin Yun and Yuan Yinying, who were sitting on the threshold, hurriedly stood up and looked at the entrance of the medicinal garden. They saw an old man wearing a gray robe flying over. The old man had short hair and a long beard. His slightly wrinkled face was filled with a benevolent smile. He looked extremely spirited. This old man was Wei Zhongjing. Sectmaster, Qin Yun and Yuan Yinying shouted together happily. Wei Zhongjing's injuries had healed, allowing Qin Yun and Yuan Yinying to heave a sigh of relief. The reason why Wei Zhongjing was severely injured was also because of Qin Yun. If he could not recover, he would feel very guilty. Little Yun, you really hid your strength. You're actually a very powerful inscription master. Tell me, what level of inscription master are you now? Wei Zhongjing placed his hands on Qin Yun and Yuan Yinying's heads as he looked at them lovingly. Yuan Yinying giggled and said, Brother, I also want to know what level of inscription master you are. Qin Yun took out a platinum badge with 3 stars on it. High-level spirit inscription master. Although Wei Zhongjing was already mentally prepared, he was still deeply shocked. There were still some who had reached the martial Dao realm before the age of 20. As for a spirit inscription master who was not even 20 years old, it was extremely rare, not to mention a high-level spirit inscription master. Yuan Yinying, who was originally giggling, immediately disappeared. She became incomparably shocked. She was so shocked that she opened her mouth slightly, unable to say a word. Wei Zhongjing looked at the 2 jars in Yuan Yinying's arms and said with a frown, Are these medicine refining tools? Yuan Yinying, whose face was filled with astonishment, hurriedly nodded and said, It's a very powerful medicine refining tool. It can refine royal-grade spirit medicines, and it has just been refined. Wei Zhongjing took a deep breath and took one of them to inspect the interior. After taking a closer look, he was astonished once again. Wild girl, when you use these 2 medicine refining tools, you must keep it a secret. It's best if you only use them in the medicine garden. Wei Zhongjing's voice was solemn as he warned Yuan Yinying. Yuan Yinying hurriedly nodded. Wei Zhongjing looked at Qin Yun and warned, Little Yun, you must not expose that inscription. Even if the 4 elders and I knew about it, we wouldn't say anything. At that moment, Qin Yun also knew that Wei Zhongjing could tell that it was a star rune. In a martial desolate land, star runes and moon runes were both taboo runes. Although there were people who grasped it, they would never reveal that they had grasped it. It was unknown why. Wei Zhongjing's serious expression disappeared as he smiled and said, Little Yun, with your help, our 9 extinction profound gate will definitely rise quickly. With that, he took out a book and handed it to Yuan Yinying. He continued, Wild girl, use those 2 jars and try refining medicine according to this book. I will go out and buy some good spiritual medicine seeds. When the time comes, we will grow even better spiritual medicines. Thank you, headmaster. I will definitely study hard. Yuan Yinying took the book and said with an excited smile. Wei Zhongjing nodded in relief before looking at Qin Yun and said, Little Yun, the 2nd elder told me about the Hongwu Palace. Your friend invited you to the celebration banquet, right? Headmaster, there will be a Xian alchemist competition. Are you going? Qin Yun asked. Of course. We can't let those fellows look down on us. We have to let them know that I, Wei Zhongjing, am still alive and well. Wei Zhongjing chuckled. I'll go with you. Qin Yun suddenly felt worried because the purple frost mysterious grass was given to him by Feng Hongluan. If the Sword Profound Mountain knew that the 9 extinction sect master had recovered, they would definitely suspect something. Right now, he could only hope that Feng Hongluan's elders would be able to shoulder this matter. Wei Zhongjing gave some instructions to the elders before leaving the 9 extinction profound gate with Qin Yun. They headed for the capital of Hongwu Kingdom, Hongwu Royal City. Qin Yun sat on Wei Zhongjing's flying boat and felt very comfortable. He planned to forge a good flying spirit artifact when he had time. Little Yun, the second elder has given you the 9 Extinction Heart Sutra. Have you cultivated it before? Wei Zhongjing asked. I've cultivated it. I've cultivated the 9 Extinction Inner Qi. Qin Yun arrived truthfully. Wei Zhongjing was only secretly alarmed. Now, he was certain that Qin Yun's comprehension of cultivation techniques and inscriptions was very high. He nodded in satisfaction and said, "It's good that you have cultivated the 9 Extinction Inner Qi. As for the rest, you will need to comprehend it yourself. For example, the Extinction Dragon Palm will produce different powers according to different people." Chapter 388. Hanwu Royal City. Qin Yin never expected that the Extinction Dragon Palm would have such a method. Wei Zhongjing said with a smile, "Extinction Dragon Palm is an open martial art. It allows cultivators with extremely high comprehension ability to combine other martial techniques and form an even stronger Extinction Dragon Palm technique. For example, mine is the Extinction Dragon Wind Fire Palm. Second Elder's Extinction Dragon Raging Fire Palm. Third Elder's Extinction Dragon Wild Thunder Palm. Now, Qin Yin has an idea on how to cultivate the Extinction Dragon Palm. The first volume of the 9 Extinction Heart Sutra only has the 9 Extinction Inner Force, Extinction Dragon Palm, Extinction Shadow Style, and Extinction Spirit Eye. As for the second volume, it is even more powerful. Unfortunately, it has been lost." Wei Zhongjing sighed and said, "Why is it lost?" Qin Yin was puzzled. This is something very important to the 9 Extinction Profound Gate. It shouldn't be lost. The main reason is that a group of seniors suddenly died back then. Wei Zhongjing seemed to be very unwilling to mention this matter. Qin Yin had previously heard about this matter from the elders. Many experts of the 9 Extinction Gate had suddenly been assassinated. Later on, he had sent people to investigate and found some clues. However, only Wei Zhongjing had the clue. Qin Yin did not continue asking about this matter. He only felt that it was a pity. He changed the topic and asked, "Sect Master, what kind of martial art is the Extinction Spirit Eye?" The Extinction Spirit Eye is a type of mental force martial art. It's very difficult to learn. Wei Zhongjing frowned. "Even if I studied for many years, I still haven't succeeded. Mental energy martial arts? Does it have anything to do with the eyes?" When Qin Yin heard that, he immediately became excited. His mental force was very special, so he felt that it wouldn't be difficult to learn it. Wei Zhongjing said very patiently, "Normally, we can use our mental power to cover the surrounding area. After we release our spiritual power, we can receive some feedback in our minds. But it's only a vague outline." Qin Yin nodded and said, "When I close my eyes, I can see the seats in the cabin, but it's only the outline. I can't see the specific color and details. And after cultivating the Extinction Spirit Eye, you can use your mental power to see." Wei Zhongjing said with a smile, "Very powerful, right? However, it's extremely difficult to grasp. It said that if one manages to grasp it, they'll be able to see through many things with their eyes." Qin Yin took out the 9 Extinction Heart Sutra and looked at the introduction of the Extinction Spirit Eye. He could not help but fall into deep thought as he pondered over the difficulties within. Wei Zhongjing smiled and said, "If you can't grasp it, don't be too sad. The elders and I have cultivated for many years, but we are still unable to learn it. That shows how difficult it is. Using mental power to temper the eyes, this is truly a strange martial art." Qin Yin smiled. He felt that he should be able to learn it well, so he looked very seriously. After memorizing some chants, he put away the 9 Extinction Heart Sutra. Wei Zhongjing also asked him about going to Jade Xian City. Qin Yin told Wei Zhongjing about his experiences in Jade Xian City and the ancient Jade Mountain Range. "Leader, Hongwu country is really powerful. They're not afraid of Yuwu country at all. Jade Xian City's city lord. Are you really not afraid of killing Prince Yu?" Qin Yin asked. Wei Zhongjing said, "This was originally the fault of the prince of Yuwu country. He actually wanted to kill the ninth princess. Even King Yu can't say anything about this matter. However, since his son was killed, he will definitely do something about it. This matter is related to you. I think Yu country will think of a way to deal with you. Qin Yun said with a light snort. They don't dare to make a move on Hongwu country. They will definitely dare to deal with me. They only dare to pinch a soft persimmon. Wei Zhongjing smiled and said, just be careful. Even King Yu is unable to break through the 9 extinction formation. You don't have to worry about implicating the 9 extinction gate. Sect Master, what's going on with that Black Mountain? Have you heard of any legends related to it? Qin Yun asked curiously. Wei Zhongjing was also very surprised by this matter. He shook his head and said, this matter is very strange. It seems like there are many secrets hidden within the ancient Jade Mountain range. The small boat flew very fast, and it only took 10 days to reach Hongwu Royal City. If Qin Yun were to travel by himself, it would take him at least 15 days to arrive. In the past 10 days, Qin Yun had been diligently learning the Extinction Spirit Eye because he felt that it would be of great help to him. When it came to observing or inscribing runes, having a good pair of eyes would also be of great help. As for the Extinction Spirit Eye, it was a martial art that could enhance one's eyesight. It could also fuse one's mental power and vision together. After 10 days of fumbling, Qin Yun had a certain level of understanding of the Extinction Spirit Eye. He felt that he was just a step away from mastering it. At the north gate of Hongwu Royal City, there were many people queuing up, waiting to enter. The conditions to enter the capital were very high. One needed to use a large amount of purple coins to buy a pass, and they had to be someone with status. Even the disciples of Xian's sects could not enter for free. They had to buy another pass. Even so, there were still a lot of people who wanted to enter the city. There were 4,000 to 5,000 people queuing up at the north gate. There are so many people. Let's go to the east gate. Wei Zhongjing sighed and controlled the boat to fly towards the east gate. There was no one at the east gate because this gate was for people with special identities. Qin Yun was a high-ranked spirit inscription master, and Wei Zhongjing was a Xian alchemist. As long as he showed his badge, he would be able to enter the capital for free. Sect Master, do you want me to contact the ninth princess now? Qin Yun asked. Let her arrange for us. Not for now, Wei Zhongjing said in a low voice. Come, take me to the Divine Inscription Palace to stay. Wei Zhongjing was a Xian alchemist. He also had a mystical medicine villa here. However, there were too many people inside, so he did not want to go in. The number of inscriptionists was fewer than that of alchemists. Usually, there were not many people staying in the Divine Inscription Palace, so the environment was the best. Qin Yun brought Wei Zhongjing to the Divine Inscription Palace in the capital. The Divine Inscription Palace in Hongwu Royal City was like a small town in the city. There were many shops and pavilions established by the Divine Inscription Palace, and many people were gathered here to trade. The Divine Inscription Palace in the middle was also dozens of floors tall. It was extremely grand and huge. Its entire body was purplish gold, and when the sunlight shone on it, it could reflect a very strong purplish gold ray that enveloped the surrounding gardens and pavilions. Qin Yun flashed his badge and was arranged to stay in a luxurious suite. After Wei Zhongjing entered, he took off his bamboo hat and sighed with emotion. The treatment of you inscriptionists is much better than that of us alchemists. I have never had such an environment in the mystical medicine villa. After all, there are more alchemists. Qin Yun chuckled and said, Sect Master, there are still about 10 days before we have to enter the palace for the celebration banquet. Then, what should we do in the next 10 days? You can stroll around by yourself. I want to see if my old friend is still here and ask around about something. Wei Zhongjing said, Then I'll go out and play first. After saying that, Qin Yun ran off like a wisp of smoke. Wei Zhongjing had just obtained a jade token that allowed him to enter and exit freely. Even without Qin Yun's company, he could still enter and exit this luxurious suite. Qin Yun walked out of the Divine Inscription Palace and called for a spirit crane to fly towards the entrance of the palace. Hongwu Royal City was not much bigger than a Xian city. The most powerful thing about this city was that there were many Xian stage martial artists, Xian inscriptionists, and Xian alchemists. Because there were many experts here, it caused the royal city to be very lively. The time of those experts was very precious. If they needed anything, they would directly put up a bounty to buy it. This way, many people would be able to sell some things at a very good price. In addition, there were many strange things in the capital city, and there were large and small auctions. As long as one had enough purple coins, they could buy some of the rarer things here. After flying for half a day, the spirit crane arrived at the entrance of the palace. Qin Yun gave the middle-aged man 2,000 purple coins. He was secretly unhappy because the location of the divine inscription palace was too far away from the palace. Even flying here had consumed a lot of purple coins. He wore a black robe and a bamboo hat. He was dressed like a wandering martial artist so that he wouldn't be easily recognized. The grand entrance of the palace was as huge as a city gate. At this moment, it was completely open. From time to time, there would be majestic spirit beasts dragging large carriages slowly in. Qin Yin stood at the door and saw many luxurious carriages or flying spirit artifacts entering the palace through the grand entrance. Using spirit beasts to pull the carriage can also show off one's identity and strength. He was secretly surprised. He never expected that Hong Yan's entrance banquet would be so grand. It seems like the 7th Prince Hong Yin did not just enter a king-level sect. He must have taken in a powerful master. Could it be that he has become the disciple of a martial king? Qin Yin felt that his guess was not far from the truth. He walked to the door, took out a token, and handed it to the guard. He asked him to help pass a message to Hong Mangshu and asked her to come out. When the guard saw the token, he was surprised and quickly arranged for someone to inform Hong Mangshu. The token was given to Qin Yun by Hong Mangshu so that he could go to the palace to find her. Qin Yun paced back and forth at the door, patiently waiting. An hour later, someone suddenly patted him on the back. He turned his head and saw a person wearing a white jade mask and a white robe. "Brother Yin, it's me," Hong Mangshu said in a low voice. "I know it's you." Qin Yin smiled. Hong Mangshu was dressed in such a way so that no one would recognize her. "Let's go." As Hong Mangshu spoke, she summoned a spirit crane. The two of them rode on the back of the huge spirit crane and flew in the sky above the capital. Hong Mangshu took off her mask, revealing her charming and sweet face. She said with a tender smile, "7th brother, and I thought you wouldn't come. I'm here, and I'm here with the sect leader." Qin Yin curled his lips. "Am I a coward in your eyes?" The spirit crane was flying towards the divine inscription palace. Qin Yin did not know what Hong Mangshu was up to. "Mangshu, Hong Yin has entered a king-level sect. The celebration is really grand." Qin Yin said with a sigh. Did he become a disciple of some amazing person? Chapter 389. The secret killer Hong Yin being able to become the disciple of the Fire King sect master also made Hong Mangshu a little jealous. Her face was filled with envy. Hong Yin was ranked 7th, and she was only ranked 9th. This meant that Hong Yan's talent in certain aspects was indeed much stronger than hers. "Here, these are your magical beast crystal eggs." Hong Mangshu took out 2 magical beast crystal eggs. Only 2. Qin Yin took it and stored it in his storage space. Hong Mangshu continued to take out the magical beast crystal eggs and said with a smile, "There are still quite a few." When Qin Yin saw that there were many magical beast crystal eggs, he was very happy. Hong Mangshu had obtained a total of 20 magical beast crystal eggs. Qin Yin also gave her 400,000 purple coins. Hong Mangshu did not say anything and directly accepted it. "Mangshu, do you have any historical records at your palace?" Qin Yin suddenly asked. "Of course. The history of our Hongwu country is also very long." Hong Mangshu hurriedly nodded. "What do you want to ask me about? Tell me." Qin Yin hesitated for a moment and asked, There are 2 things. I'm just curious." "Speak." Hong Mangshu was filled with interest when she saw how mysterious Qin Yin was. Qin Yin looked around and said in a low voice, "Help me check the specifics of Totem Pavilion. Also, In the history of our 9 extinction profound gate, a group of experts died because of the 9 extinction profound gate. Later on, many disciples were hunted down, and we still don't know who the mastermind is. Hong Mengshu frowned and said, Totem Pavilion? I seem to have heard of it before. Who did you hear it from? Asked Qin Yun immediately. When I was very young. At that time, my father received a guest. Because I was still young, he brought me with him. I heard them talk about it. Something about having to pay tribute to Totem Pavilion every 100 years. When Hong Mengshu heard Qin Yun mention Totem Pavilion, the childhood memories sealed in her mind were awakened. She recalled for a moment and couldn't help but be shocked. Our Hongwu country actually has to pay tribute to Totem Pavilion. I remember the helpless look on my father's face. When Qin Yun heard this, he said in a deep voice, Mengshu, then don't inquire about the matter of Totem Pavilion. Help me check up on the 9 extinction profound gate. Brother Yun, it seems that in the martial desolate, there are forces stronger than the martial kingdom and the king-level sects. Hong Mengshu said in a low voice, Who knows, the matter of a group of experts being killed in your 9 extinction profound gate might be related to Totem Pavilion. Qin Yun's expression immediately turned heavy. If that was really the case, then it meant that there must be something within the 9 extinction profound gate that Totem Pavilion valued greatly. Hong Mengshu said, I've also heard of the matter regarding the 9 extinction gate. Back then, the strength of the 9 extinction profound gate was one of the top Xian sects, and the entire sect was very united. Later on, the sect leader and a bunch of elders were killed. Even the elders who were close to reaching the martial emperor realm were killed. A huge number of the disciples who went out were killed too. Then, many of the inheritances of the 9 extinction profound gate were severed just like that. When Qin Yun heard this, he clenched his fists tightly and remained silent. I heard from my royal father that the 9 extinction profound gate almost became a king-level sect at that time. After this incident, it completely declined. Hong Mengshu said in a low voice, This matter has also become an eternal mystery because no one knows who did it. This also caused many aristocratic families to not dare to send their disciples to the 9 extinction profound gate. Currently, in the eyes of many, the 9 extinction profound gate had no chance of rising. It was even inferior to some spirit-level sects. Hong Mengshu patted the dazed Qin Yun and said, Brother Yun, you are very talented and very mysterious. You are at the second level of the martial Dao realm at such a young age, and you are even a high-ranked spirit inscription master. If you were to be exposed, it is extremely likely that you will be targeted by that mysterious force. When I returned to the palace, I didn't hear about you becoming a spirit inscription master. It could be seen that the general director, Mu Feng, did not publicize this matter. Qin Yun sighed. He had also thought of this matter. Don't worry, I won't speak nonsense. I don't want to lose a good friend like you. Otherwise, who will I find to refine artifacts for me in the future? Hong Mengshu laughed mischievously. Mengshu, when will you join a king-level sect? Qin Yun asked. I don't know yet. This is all arranged by my royal father. In short, I have a title. He will definitely help me do it well. Hong Mengshu curled her lips and snorted. In any case, I'm not like Seventh Brother, who can have a sect master as his master. Hong Mengshu's spirit crane flew at a relatively fast speed. Not long after, it arrived at the entrance of the Divine Inscription Palace. She sent Qin Yun back to the Divine Inscription Palace before returning to the palace. Qin Yun looked at the Divine Inscription Palace. For some reason, he suddenly felt worried. However, he still walked in. When he returned to his suite, he saw Wei Zhongjing. Sect Master, you're back, Qin Yun said with a smile. Little Yun, because the alchemist competition is about to begin, I can't leave. Can you help me deliver a letter to an old friend? Wei Zhongjing said. Will the celebration begin first, or will the competition begin first? Qin Yun asked. Now, the pill competition has been brought forward. Therefore, after the competition, there will be a celebration. There are still 8 to 9 days left, enough for you to deliver the letter, Wei Zhongjing said with a smile. Qin Yun took the letter and asked, "Where should I deliver it?" "Jade Xian City." Wei Zhongxing's words surprised Qin Yun. Jade Xian City is quite far from here. The journey will take 8 to 9 days, right? At that time, I might not be able to make it in time for the celebration. Qin Yun said with a frown. "Sect Master, is this letter really that important?" "It's very important." Wei Zhongxing nodded. "Don't worry, when the time comes, that old friend of mine will be able to send you back to Hongwu Royal City very quickly." Following that, Qin Yun asked for another address and learned that he had to deliver the letter to the Jade Xian City's mysterious medicine villa. He hurriedly left Hongwu Royal City and ran all the way to Jade Xian City. "Seriously, Sect Master, you want me to deliver a letter at a time like this?" Qin Yun was puzzled. Right now, he could only increase his speed and constantly use the mysterious star steps as he ran all the way. When Qin Yun left the city, it was evening. After running until late at night, he arrived at the mountainside of a tall mountain and rested on a rock under a large tree. Swoosh! He suddenly heard a sound, and his body instinctively jumped up, avoiding the object that was flying at him. Z. It was actually an arrow. What was terrifying was that after the arrow pierced into the tree, it actually caused the tree to rapidly melt. The 100-meter-tall tree's trunk melted into a black liquid, causing the tree to break and collapse to the ground. Qin Yun looked at the tree that was still melting, and his heart was filled with extreme fear. It was an incomparably toxic poison. If he were to be hit by that arrow, he would definitely turn into a pool of black mud. A chill surged into Qin Yun's heart. He hurriedly used his shadow force to hide in the darkness. Is he sneak attacking me? And is he using this method just to destroy the corpse? Qin Yun hid behind a huge rock in the darkness. He recalled that after he left the city, he had been on his way and there was no one in the area he had passed through. Although he was currently in a forest, it was not an area where demon beasts and spirit beasts roamed. It was impossible for there to be any hunters. Furthermore, even if a powerful spirit beast was hit by that incomparably poisonous arrow, it would definitely turn into black poisonous mud. It was not used for hunting. Could it be that this person followed me from Hongwu Royal City? When Qin Yun thought of this, his heart could not help but pound wildly. When he entered Hongwu Royal City, the only one who knew of his whereabouts was Hong Mangshu. However, it was impossible for Hong Mangshu to do anything to him. She had no motive. The sect leader arranged for me to deliver the letter. It was also very sudden. Just who wants to kill me? He hid behind a rock and kept thinking. He did not know if the assassin had left or not. Could it be that the sect leader wants to kill me? That's impossible. He thought for a moment and suddenly felt that Wei Zhongxing's sudden request for him to deliver the letter was indeed rather sudden. Hoo-hoo! Qin Yun suddenly heard a weak sound. It was the sound of a person flying over. It was obvious that the assassin was unable to discover him, so he came over to take a look. He carefully took out 5 body securing talismans and used his mental energy to control a rock to fly towards a distant tree. After the rock he controlled flew over, a black shadow also leaped over. Qin Yun hurriedly threw the 5 body securing talismans over. The black shadow was immediately frozen. Although the body securing talisman could only be maintained for an instant, Qin Yun had already teleported over. He took out the dragon suppression cauldron and covered the black shadow. Qin Yun's heart raced as he became extremely nervous. He closed the lid and hurriedly used the mysterious star steps with all his might. In a few blinks of an eye, he had traversed several thousand meters. After cultivating the 9 extinction inner chi, his speed became even faster. Qin Yun left the mountain and remained hidden in the darkness. Then, he retracted his aura and carefully walked. He did not know if there were any assassins behind him. He could only leave the mountain first. The dragon suppression cauldron had become very small because of him. The person trapped inside was also very strong, causing the small cauldron to constantly tremble. Qin Yun did not have the time to deal with that person. He could only wait until he was safe. At night, he only used the strength of his body to run. He climbed over a few mountains and found a natural cave. Qin Yun hid inside the cave and finally let out a long sigh. He began to rest and recover his exhausted stamina. After resting, he took out the letter that Wei Zhongjing had asked him to send to Jade Xian City. Let's open it and take a look. Qin Yun felt that this matter was definitely not that simple. His intuition told him that Wei Zhongjing's entrustment of him to deliver the letter was just a pretense. He opened the letter, and it was completely blank. There's nothing in it. Qin Yun read it carefully a few times and confirmed that there were no other words hidden inside. It was indeed the sect leader who sent me away. He told me to leave the city, and I was assassinated. Why is that? Qin Yun absolutely did not believe that Wei Zhongjing wanted to harm him. He took out the dragon suppression cauldron. The cauldron was still shaking nonstop. Quickly release me. If I am unable to return within a certain period of time, the consequences will be very serious. A voice came from the dragon suppression cauldron. Qin Yun said with a sneer, I was almost killed by you. You actually think I will let you go back? You are very naive. With that, he took out a black bottle. The bottle was filled with beast oil. Qin Yun did not know what cultivation level the person inside was at. However, even if he was at the spirit realm, he would still be burned to death by a large amount of beast oil. He poured a large amount of beast oil into the cauldron from the handle of the dragon suppression cauldron. The handle of the cauldron was a lion's head with its mouth open. The beast oil could also be quickly poured in. Chapter 390. The mastermind. When Qin Yun heard the terrified shout of the person inside the cauldron, he sneered. I never thought that an assassin like you would be so afraid of death. Not competent at all. Are you going to burn me to death? If I die, your days will not be easy. The man shouted. You still plan to threaten me at this point? Qin Yun laughed. I don't even know who you are. Why should I be afraid of you? If you want me to be afraid of you, then tell me where you came from. He really wanted to know why this assassin wanted to kill him. Although the other party's tracking and concealment skills were very high, he did not seem like a professional assassin. Are you asking about my background? The man laughed sinisterly. Even if I told you, you wouldn't know. If you knew, it would definitely scare you to death. Qin Yun thought for a moment and said slowly, I believe you should know that I am Qin Yun. I am now a disciple of the Nine Extinction Gate, and my talent is not bad. Are you related to the power that massacred the disciples of the Nine Extinction Gate? Back then, that power specifically killed the outstanding disciples of the Nine Extinction Gate. The Nine Extinction Gate will never rise again. The man laughed sinisterly. You guessed right. The reason why we specifically killed the outstanding disciples of the Nine Extinction Gate is to cut off your roots. Qin Yun, you are so outstanding, and you are also a disciple of the Nine Extinction Gate. Therefore, in our eyes, you are already destined to die. Qin Yun never expected that he would be guessed correctly. This assassin really did come from that mysterious power. What he could not understand was that his whereabouts were considered very secretive. Only sect master Wei Zhongjing and Hong Mengshu knew about it. The sect master would never deal with him like this. Hong Mengshu did not have any suspicions either. After all, they were life and death friends. What kind of power are you? You should at least have a name. Qin Yun asked again. If I was really afraid, I wouldn't have burned you to death. That person said with a sneer, all you need to know is that the king-level sects have to submit to us. We are the only emperor-level power in the northern region. Qin Yun was slightly taken aback. An emperor-level power was above a king-level power. In the martial desolate, once a force proclaimed itself as an emperor, it would definitely be suppressed by many king-level forces. Only a powerful force could resist. Now, in the northern region of the martial desolate land, there was actually an emperor-level power. Furthermore, it was extremely mysterious. Qin Yun immediately thought of Totem Pavilion. Previously, Hong Mengshu had also said that their Hongwu country would pay tribute to Totem Pavilion. Are you from Totem Pavilion? Qin Yun asked indifferently. You know quite a lot. That person's surprised voice came from the cauldron. Qin Yun frowned. The faction that was dealing with the 9 Extinction Gate was actually Totem Pavilion. In this way, he could guess the reason why Totem Pavilion had attacked the 9 Extinction Profound Gate. It was possible that the 9 Extinction Gate was about to become a king-level sect back then, but it did not submit to Totem Pavilion. Thus, the headmaster, elders, and outstanding disciples of the 9 Extinction Gate were all killed. Totem Pavilion was very powerful, but it was hidden in the dark. Many people did not know of its existence, and that was the most terrifying thing. Very powerful. You scared me. Qin Yun sighed. How did you know my whereabouts? Your sect master went to register for the pill competition, and then I followed him back to the divine inscription palace. That person laughed. I have to say, this old man is very vigilant. He also noticed that something was amiss, so he pretended to have you deliver a letter and let you leave Hong Wu Royal City. When Qin Yun heard this, he was alarmed. You've been in that suite the entire time? That's right. I followed Wei Zhongjing in, but he didn't know. That person smiled proudly and said, he thought that our Totem Pavilion's target was him, and he knew that he wouldn't be able to leave Hong Wu Royal City, so he sent you away. He was worried that you would know too much, so he didn't tell you the truth. He only wanted you to leave Hong Wu Royal City as soon as possible. He was also afraid that you would disregard everything to avenge him, so he didn't say much to you. Qin Yun took a long breath as he suddenly thought of many things. Hong Yin acknowledged the Fire King sect's sect master as his master and at the same time asked Hong Yin to invite him to the banquet. This way, Totem Pavilion would have the chance to attack him. Totem Pavilion's target was originally him, because Totem Pavilion did not know that Wei Zhongjing had recovered so quickly. This brat Hong Yin, he must have told the Fire King sect master that he knows me, and the Fire King sect master has a good relationship with your Totem Pavilion. So he set up this trap to deal with me, right? Qin Yun asked angrily after he understood what was going on. The man said, you are very smart. Furthermore, your talent in the martial Dao and inscription are both very impressive. If you're allowed to grow, then the 9 Extinction Profound Gate will definitely rise. The threat you bring to us is much greater than that old man Wei Zhongjing. Qin Yun felt that the Hong Ing Martial King might also know about his inscription talent, but he did not collude with Totem Pavilion to harm him. After all, he had saved Hong Mangshu. As for Hong Yin, he probably did not know that his master was secretly working for Totem Pavilion. Qin Yun asked again. In that case, there are still many experts in this banquet. Originally, we only wanted to kill you, but now, both you and Wei Zhongjing have to die. Especially Wei Zhongjing. He won't be able to leave Hong Wu Royal City. The man laughed loudly. Now, do you know fear? In order to deal with Wei Zhongjing, we can get the Fire King sect master to cooperate with us. After Qin Yun calmed down, he asked indifferently, then, do you think that I dare to kill you now? That person said confidently, of course not. Since you know how powerful our Totem Pavilion is, if you still dare to kill me, just wait to be hunted down by the most outstanding assassins of Totem Pavilion. Qin Yun also knew that if the assassins sent by the great powers died, then the assassins sent would be even stronger. How many experts from Totem Pavilion are there in Hong Wu Royal City? How strong are they? Qin Yun asked. They are all at the peak of the Xian martial realm. There are only a few of them. It's more than enough to deal with that old man Wei Zhongjing. If we can't deal with him, there's still the Fire King sect master. Qin Yun clenched his fists tightly. The Fire King sect master was a martial king. Our Totem Pavilion is secretly in charge of the pill competition. The moment Wei Zhongjing registered, we immediately found out. Then, we replaced the guards of the 4 city gates with people from Totem Pavilion. That person laughed proudly and said, do you know how strong our Totem Pavilion is now? Even Wei Zhongjing himself does not hold any hope of survival and is prepared to die. Qin Yun was infuriated to the extreme as his voice turned incomparably cold. Do you think this beast oil is enough to burn you to death? You really want to kill me? When a man heard Qin Yun's tone, he immediately panicked. Why do people like you always feel that you can kill others and others can't kill you? Qin Yun said with a sneer. If there's not enough beast oil, I still have more. If you really kill me, it will only intensify the strength of Totem Pavilion against your 9 extinction profound gate. That person hurriedly shouted, "Looks like your position in Totem Pavilion isn't low. Quickly tell me, what is your status?" Only someone with a high status would be so afraid of death. Qin Yin laughed out loud. Looking at the arrogance on your body, you don't seem like an assassin. That person snorted coldly. You can tell that my position in Totem Pavilion is high and you still dare to kill me? I'm not afraid to tell you that in Totem Pavilion, other than those martial kings, the strongest are the 36 hall masters at the peak of the Xian martial realm, and I am the son of one of the hall masters. In Totem Pavilion, there are 36 people at the peak of the Xian martial realm. Then, there would definitely be many other Xian martial realm cultivators. This huge power had always been unknown, and only a few people knew of it. Just thinking about it was terrifying. Thank you very much for letting me know so much. After Qin Yun finished speaking, he injected flames into the dragon suppression cauldron. You really want to kill me? Ah! The person inside let out incomparably terrified cries of pain. Qin Yun said coldly, "Your Totem Pavilion has killed so many people from my 9 extinction profound gate. So what if I kill someone from your Totem Pavilion? Regardless of whether I kill you or not, Totem Pavilion will not let me off, nor will they let the 9 extinction profound gate off. Since that's the case, why should I let you go? You will regret it." The screams that were filled with pain were also filled with anger. No matter what, I will not regret killing someone who wants to kill me. Qin Yun touched the dragon suppression cauldron with an incomparably heavy heart. That was because he did not know what the consequences of killing this person would be. After all, his cultivation wasn't too low. He wouldn't be able to burn to death in a short period of time. This was also the most painful because he would have to be burned by the beast oil for a period of time before dying. Although Qin Yun did not have the strength of the Xian realm to activate the dragon suppression cauldron, it was very sturdy. Without a certain level of strength, the person who was covered in the cauldron would not be able to come out. Moments later, Qin Yun probed the interior of the cauldron and was surprised to discover that the person was still alive. The defensive magic treasure on you is not bad. It actually helped you hold on for so long. Qin Yun said in surprise, You will die a horrible death." That person was not dead yet, as he roared angrily. "The one who will die a horrible death is you." As Qin Yun spoke, he poured more beast oil into the cauldron. That person screamed again in pain and agony. Qin Yun also observed the interior and discovered that when the beast oil burned, the flames at the center emitted traces of black gas. Black flames. If the fire martial spirit is black, then the flame will also be black, he secretly exclaimed. Of course, when the beast meat was burning, only the center would have traces of black flames, while the outside would be the normal fiery red color. 2 hours later, that person's defensive magic treasure was finally burnt to a crisp. Without a defensive magic treasure, flesh and blood could not withstand the intense flames at all. In just a few moves, the man was burned to the point where he could not even scream. Qin Yun quickly opened the lid and fished out the person inside. That person's entire body was scorched black, and his appearance was indistinguishable. However, he was still alive and could still moan in a low voice. For you to be able to follow the sect leader into the room without being discovered by him, it must be because your martial spirit is rather strange, right? Qin Yun placed his hand on the person's dantian and began extracting his martial spirit. Soul refining technique. That person cried out in pain. Chapter 391. An ancient expert, the martial spirit that Qin Yun extracted from that person's body was a light red variant martial spirit. Indeed, it did not disappoint him. However, that martial spirit was very strange. It was translucent red. What martial spirit is this? Qin Yun muttered to himself as he placed the martial spirit into the soul-sealing pearl. After that person's martial spirit was extracted, he died with hatred in his heart. Qin Yun placed the corpse into the heavenly lion dragon suppression cauldron and added beast oil to continue burning it. The beast oil is really amazing. The temperature it produces is extremely high. If it continues to burn, it will be stronger than the flames I release. Qin Yun suddenly thought of something and took out the jade coffin. The jade coffin came from the Black Mountain in the ancient Jade Mountain range. There was an old man lying inside, sealed in ice. If I pour in the beast oil, I might be able to melt the ice. Qin Yun muttered to himself as he looked at the old man lying inside. Then he poured a bit of beast oil and hurriedly stopped. He muttered to himself, "What if I burn him to ashes? Forget it. Let's talk about it later. No, burn it now." Suddenly, a hasty voice appeared in Qin Yun's mind. Qin Yun trembled in fright. He immediately looked at the old man inside the jade coffin and asked in surprise, "Grandpa, are you talking to me?" It's me. I didn't expect you to have beast oil. Quickly pour it into the jade coffin and ignite it." The voice appeared in Qin Yun's mind once again. Qin Yun curled his lips. "Why didn't you talk to me when I obtained the jade coffin? Did you look down on me at that time?" Cough, cough, of course not. I might have been sleeping at that time. It was the smell of the beast oil that woke me up, the old man said. This old man was sealed in the jade coffin. He was definitely a figure from the ancient era. To be able to live for such a long time, his strength was definitely not weak. And now, Qin Yun did not understand this old man at all. He did not know if it was good or bad. If he were to rashly release him and be killed, he would be reaping what he sowed. What if you come out and kill me? Qin Yun did not immediately pour the beast oil. How could I kill you? Not only will I not kill you, I can also help you do something. The old man laughed and said, "Although I've been lying here for a long time, I'm still very strong." Qin Yun guessed that the old man's strength was most likely at the martial king realm. If the old man in the jade coffin was really a martial king, then he might be able to save Wei Zhongjing. Wei Zhongjing was trapped in Hong Wu Royal City. He was being watched by the peak of the Xian martial realm from Totem Pavilion and the Fire King sect leader. He couldn't get out at all. Unless a martial king realm expert came to his rescue, Wei Zhongjing would definitely be killed. How can I trust you? I'm really worried that if I let you out, you'll kill me. These days, there are too many bad people. I was almost killed by those fellows from Totem Pavilion. Qin Yun said. Totem Pavilion? Young man, where are you now? Is it in the magical beast desolate? The old man's surprised voice was heard. No, I'm in the northern region of the martial desolate. What's wrong? Qin Yun was secretly alarmed. The old man said in surprise, Totem Pavilion is a sect of the magical desolate land. The beast desolate land was invaded by the sects of the magical desolate land and became the magical beast desolate land. Totem Pavilion is a sect of the magical beast desolate land. Now, it has actually run to the martial desolate land. Qin Yun was immediately stunned. Totem Pavilion was actually a demonic sect. Furthermore, it dominated the northern region of the martial desolate land. Just thinking about it was terrifying. Qin Yun had previously learned about Totem Pavilion from his father. He had felt that Totem Pavilion was an evil sect. Now it was true. Young man, you've been targeted by Totem Pavilion. There must be something related to totems on you. The old man said again. Qin Yun thought of the heavenly lion dragon suppression cauldron. There were heavenly lion totem runes on it. However, only the general director, Mu Feng, knew of this matter. It was not easy for others to tell that it was a totem rune. Totem Pavilion wants to kill me because they want to destroy the foundation of our 9 extinction profound gate. Qin Yun sighed before telling the old man about the death of the disciples of the 9 extinction profound gate. After the old man heard this, he hurriedly asked, You just mentioned the 9 pillars. What are the specifics? Can you describe it in detail? Of course I can. Qin Yun also felt that the 9 pillars were too powerful. They did not seem like something that a force from the martial desolate could produce. It was extremely likely that they were created by someone from the spirit desolate. After he finished describing it in detail, the old man exclaimed in surprise. The runes on the 9 pillars are not sun runes. It's the 9 sun totem. The old man's words shocked Qin Yun to the point of being speechless. It might not all be the 9 sun totem, or there might only be one of the sun totem. I don't know the specifics either. The reason why Totem Pavilion is targeting you guys is definitely because of the sun totem. Qin Yun was even more curious about the old man's identity. He hurriedly asked, "Grandpa, what's your background? Can you let me out first?" The old man said, "I've consumed a lot of energy to be able to let my will penetrate the ice and talk to you. I'm worried. You should be a martial king. Once you come out, you can easily kill me." Qin Yun curled his lips and said. The old man felt helpless as he said, "Didn't you just say that your sect leader is in danger? You've been targeted by the people from Totem Pavilion? If you let me out, I will definitely be able to save your sect leader. With your current strength, you are unable to contend against Totem Pavilion. Do you want to watch your sect leader die? Why don't you take a gamble?" The old man said. When Qin Yun heard this, his heart wavered. "How much beast oil do you want?" Finally, he made a decision. "I don't know. Just keep burning. As long as the ice melts, it should be enough." The old man said, "This will use up a lot of my beast oil." Qin Yun curled his lips as he poured the beast oil from the black bottle and lit it on fire. The jade coffin immediately burst into flames. After the beast oil was burned, the layer of ice did not show any signs of melting. Qin Yun could only continue pouring beast oil. He kept pouring beast oil into the jade coffin, burning the ice layer below. "Grandpa, it's been burning for more than half a day, and it still hasn't melted. Is it because the beast oil isn't good? If I don't succeed and waste my beast oil, wouldn't that be a huge loss for me?" Qin Yun complained. "Lad, there's a lot of beast oil in that bottle of yours. Don't think that I don't know. It won't be a problem, even if it burns for a few years." The old man chuckled. Qin Yun was alarmed. The black bottle that contained a large amount of beast oil was a very powerful treasure. Now that it was known by others, it'd be very dangerous. "You're worried that I'll snatch your bottle, right?" The old man said again. "You can't let go of your guard." Qin Yun harumphed. "That's right. It's good to be more vigilant," the old man said. Qin Yun waited by the side and felt very bored. He took out the soul sealing pearl and carefully observed it. "Grandpa, do you know what kind of martial spirit this soul-sealing pearl is?" He had only casually asked and did not think that the old man would know. This martial spirit is a variant martial spirit called the transparent martial spirit. It can make things transparent. Of course, it can also make itself transparent. The old man chuckled and said, "Where did you get this martial spirit?" Qin Yun was secretly alarmed. He also understood why the person from Totem Pavilion was able to follow Wei Zhongjing into that room and even secretly follow him out of the city. "I picked it up. I didn't expect it to be such a good thing." Qin Yun planned to refine this martial spirit into a spirit artifact in the future. Then, he would be able to use the spirit artifact to realize the abilities of the martial spirit. However, this would consume a lot of energy. The old man said with a smile, "Give it a try. Inject your energy into this soul-sealing pearl and activate the power of your martial spirit. Maybe it can make you transparent." When Qin Yun heard that, he immediately gave it a try. He injected pure Vajra inner force into it and activated an invisible energy. His body was wrapped up by the energy and gradually became transparent. He didn't need to refine a spirit artifact to use the power of the transparent martial spirit to make himself transparent. However, this did consume a lot of energy. In just a short moment, more than half of my energy has been drained. Qin Yun hurriedly stopped channeling his energy. The rate of consumption was too terrifying. Only by reaching the spirit martial realm can one unleash the power of a variant martial spirit. After the old man finished speaking, he shouted, "Quickly add more beast oil. It's about to run out." Qin Yun took out the bottle and continued pouring beast oil into it. It took a full 5 days for the ice to gradually melt. Following that, it took another 2 days for the ice to completely melt. It took a total of 7 days. Crash! The old man flew out from a large amount of beast oil. The beast oil was splattered everywhere, and his body was also burning with flames. Qin Yun curled his lips and said, "What a waste of beast oil." After saying that, he made preparations to escape. He was wearing the dragon-resisting boots. If he ran at full speed, his speed would definitely not be slow. "Young man, thank you." The old man smiled and said, "Do you have any other clothes?" The old man's entire body was originally dirty. It was unknown what kind of power he used to shake off all the beast oil on his body. However, his clothes were also burned to tatters. Qin Yun hurriedly took out a set of white clothes and handed it to him. "Just wear it." The old man changed his clothes and became very spirited. He only had white hair and some wrinkles on his face. "My name is Qin Yun. Grandpa, what about you?" Qin Yun asked. "Jiang Daju." The old man chuckled. Qin Yun frowned. "Big Pig? This name is quite casual. It doesn't seem like a name that a strong person should have." Jiang Daju's smile froze as he hurriedly explained, "It's the death sentence. Senior Big Pig, now I've made the right bet. You didn't kill me." Qin Yun felt much more at ease. Don't call me Senior Big Pig. Just call me Elder Jiang." Jiang Daju smiled. "I told you not to worry." Qin Yun hurriedly said, "Elder Jiang, hurry up and go to Hongwu Royal City. I've already been out of the city for 7 days. I wonder what's going on inside." "All right, I'll go with you now." "All right, do you have a storage spirit artifact or something?" "Give me one," Jiang Daju said. Qin Yun took out a rather shabby storage bag and handed it to Jiang Daju. Jiang Daju took the storage bag with a look of disdain and placed the jade coffin inside. Chapter 392. Heavenly Fire. Marshal King Qin Yun led the way and flew ahead. Jiang Daju followed behind and asked, "Brat, your boots are dragon-resisting boots, right?" "That's right. Do you know these boots?" Qin Yun asked. Jiang Daju said, "Of course I know. It's a pretty good item that can make your speed very fast. If you have enough strength, combined with the dragon-resisting leg technique, you will still be very strong in battle." "Elder Jiang, are you a martial king?" Qin Yun asked curiously. "I guess so." Jiang Daju chuckled and said, "Don't worry, I'll definitely help you save him." Qin Yun did not know why, but Jiang Daju gave off an unreliable feeling. "What do you mean by I guess so?" Qin Yun curled his lips and asked, "Can't you say for sure if you're a martial king or not? I feel that my strength is on par with a martial king." Jiang Daju smiled and said, "Don't worry. Even if I face 2 martial kings, I will be able to save them." When Qin Yun saw Jiang Daju's expression, he lost his confidence. In particular, he could not sense Jiang Daju's exact strength, nor did he know what his cultivation level was. At this point, he could only trust Jiang Daju. This place was very close to the Hongwu Royal City. Qin Yun pointed in a direction, and Jiang Daju took out the jade coffin for Qin Yun to sit in. Then the two of them sat in the jade coffin and flew through the air. Qin Yun sat in the flying coffin and felt that it was strange. However, the coffin was extremely fast. This made him feel a little more confident in Jiang Daju. "Lad, is the Hongwu Royal City up ahead?" Jiang Daju pointed at the huge city in front of him and asked. "HM, there's a great formation enveloping the city. We can't fly in directly," Qin Yun hurriedly said, worried that Jiang Daju would crash into it. Jiang Daju controlled the jade coffin to land on the ground. After putting it away, he said, "Let's go in. I hope it's not too late." The city gate they were at was the east gate. Only people with status could enter. Although Jiang Daju was very strong, he did not have any status, so he could not just directly enter. "Elder Jiang, enter the coffin. I'll store the coffin in my storage spirit artifact and bring you in," Qin Yun said. It was very easy for him to enter using his high-ranked Spirit Inscription Master badge. Jiang Daju nodded before taking out the jade coffin and lying in it. Qin Yun closed the lid and stored the jade coffin in his storage space. Then he walked towards the east city gate. On the way back, he had disguised himself as a middle-aged man. Even if there were people from Totem Pavilion at the city gate, they would not be able to recognize him. Not long after, he arrived at an inn and took out the jade coffin. Jiang Daju snorted, I'm clearly still alive, but I always have to lie in that coffin. Old Jiang, your coffin is pretty good. Qin Yun said with a smile. You are also reluctant to throw it away. It should be a very powerful magic tool. Damn, brat, don't even think about my jade coffin. After Jiangzhu finished speaking, he hurriedly walked out of the inn. Quickly lead the way. Qin Yun summoned the spirit crane and let it fly to the palace. On the back of the spirit crane, Qin Yun learned from the old man that the pill competition had ended. The winner was the sect master of the Nine Extinction Gate, Wei Zhongjing. He had obtained a royal grade profound medicine, 10,000 whiskers mysterious ginseng. However, later on, Wei Zhongjing was suspected of cheating and was arrested. He was still being tried in the palace. These guys are much more shameless than I imagined. They actually came up with such a grand reason. When Qin Yun heard this, he cursed in a low voice, feeling indignant. The spirit crane quickly landed at the entrance of the palace. Qin Yun stood at the entrance of the palace and took out a pass. It was given to him by Hongmeng Shu and allowed him to enter the palace smoothly. Before entering, Qin Yun could only place Jiang Dazhu in his storage spirit artifact. Only then would he be able to bring Jiang Dazhu in. The palace was very big, but there was a guard who brought him in. Sir, tonight is the start of the banquet. If you were any slower, you would have missed it. The guard said, Tonight? It's 2 or 3 days in advance. Qin Yun said with a frown. Yes, because the pill competition has just ended. Wei Zhongjing, who cheated, will be judged tonight, and a celebratory banquet will also be held. At that time, the 7th prince might kill Wei Zhongjing. The guard said. Qin Yun's heart skipped a beat. He never expected to use such a method to kill Wei Zhongjing. Hong Yan was the 7th prince, but he was only at the first level of the martial Dao realm. If he were to kill a peak Xin martial realm warrior, his reputation would definitely soar. At that time, the Fire King sect master would also have a lot of face. If I'm caught, then I'll be the one Hong Yan kills. Qin Yun thought to himself. He did not know what was going on with Hong Yan. He could only go and take a look. It was evening, and the banquet was about to begin. In the square of the palace, many guards were busy setting up tables and chairs. The participants of the banquet also arrived one after another. When Qin Yun arrived, the seats at the front were already occupied. They were all at the Xian realm from the Xian sections. As for the seats at the back, they were all from the spirit sections. With the prestige of the Fire King sect and Hongwu country, they were able to invite many sects to participate. Qin Yun strolled around the plaza. Suddenly, he darted into a thicket and released Jiang Dazhu. After Jiang Dazhu was released, he followed Qin Yun to the plaza and sat at a seat at the back. Qin Yun looked around, wanting to see if Wei Zhongjing had been escorted out. He did not see Wei Zhongjing. He only saw a platform that was more than 10 meters wide in the middle of the plaza. There were formation pillars around it. It was probably used to hold Wei Zhongjing. As night fell, the square of the palace was decorated with lanterns and colored banners. It was illuminated by many huge, glowing stones. Many of the huge buildings in the palace were also illuminated by glowing stones, making the palace look very festive. Jiang Dazhu sat there and did not eat. It was as if he did not like these things. He said in a low voice, There are 3 martial kings present. Qin Yun could not see the people in front of him. After all, he was sitting outside, 100 tables away from the front. The plaza was also bustling with noise, and there were more than 10 to 20,000 people. Many experts from the sects of the martial, desolate northern region were here. Qin Yun was also looking for Hongmeng Shu, but he could not find her. Suddenly, an old man wearing a cloak landed on the high platform in front of him. The old man's long hair fluttered in the wind as it burned with flames. The robe he wore was also burning with dancing flames. This was an old man whose entire body was covered in fire. It was obvious that this person was the sect leader of the Fire King sect. He had given himself the title of Heavenly Fire Martial King. After the Heavenly Fire Martial King appeared, he took out a small pagoda and released an old man who was in a sorry state. It was Wei Zhongjing. Wei Zhongjing's entire body was bound by chains that emitted black gas. His hair was disheveled, and although his face was covered in bruises, his expression was resolute. His eyes were bright and as sharp as an eagle's as he stared at the people below. Sect leader. When Qin Yun saw that Wei Zhongjing had been tortured, he clenched his fists. The heavenly fire martial king, beside Wei Zhongjing, only had an exaggerated appearance, but the aura in his bones was far inferior to Wei Zhongjing's. Although Wei Zhongjing was tied up, injured, and in a sorry state, his unyielding arrogance was something that no one dared to underestimate. The heavenly fire martial king said loudly in a hoarse voice, "Cheating has occurred in the pill competition organized by our Fire King sect. As for this Wei Zhongjing, he cheated using some small methods that were hard to detect and obtained first place, seizing our royal grade profound medicine. Moreover, he refuses to admit it. Our Fire King sect has never been lenient towards such despicable people. As long as we catch him, we will definitely behead him in public." Wei Zhongjing had been severely injured previously, but he was still able to participate in the pill competition and obtain first place. This also made many people suspicious. The Fire King sect did not have any evidence, but if they wanted to kill Wei Zhongjing, no one could say anything. Everyone could only secretly feel regret. A powerful peak Xian martial realm like Wei Zhongjing was going to die, just like that, to be beheaded in public. This kind of death had no dignity at all. The executor will be my little disciple, Hong Yin. The heavenly fire martial king looked to Hong Yin, who was below the stage, and shouted softly, "Come up." Hong Yin was also wearing a fiery red cloak. His bald head was burning with a cluster of flames. With a grave expression, he flew onto the stage and received an extremely sharp saber. "Don't worry, I'm here. Your sect leader will be fine." When Jiang Dezhu saw that Qin Yun was about to fly over, he hurriedly pressed down on his shoulder. Hong Yin held a long saber in his hand and raised it high as he stared at Wei Zhongjing's neck. When he saw Wei Zhongjing's expressionless face, as though he was indifferent to life and death, he could not help but feel moved. He suddenly recalled the situation when he and Qin Yun met Wei Zhongjing. In order to help Qin Yun, Wei Zhongjing was willing to suffer more than 10 palms. The other sects did not accept a man like Jiang Jihu, but Wei Zhongjing did. In the entire martial desolate northern region, it would be hard to find a second sect leader like him. In Hong Yan's heart, he did not believe that Wei Zhongjing had cheated. He also thought of Qin Yun. Back then, he had lost everything in the bet and was quite down and out. Later on, Qin Yun had helped him. Wei Zhongjing was Qin Yun's sect leader. If he killed Wei Zhongjing, then this enmity would be formed. "I can't do it," Hong Yin, who was holding his saber high, suddenly said as he put it down. The people in the plaza were immediately alarmed. Hong Yin, the 7th prince, could not bear to kill. "Hong Yin, what's wrong with you? Quickly kill him. He is the sect leader of the 9 Extinction Gate, a martial artist at the peak of the Xian martial realm. If you kill him, this is your honor." The heavenly fire martial king was also alarmed as he hurriedly said, "He's been captured. What glory can I have by killing him? It's not like I defeated him fair and square." Hong Yin said as he rubbed his bald head, "If you don't kill him, you're not worthy of being my disciple." The heavenly fire martial king was somewhat angry as he said in a deep voice. Hong Yin gripped his saber tightly and hesitated for a moment before saying loudly, "I, Hong Yin, will never do anything that goes against my heart. A person who forces me to do something that goes against my conscience is not worthy of being my master." The plaza immediately fell silent. Hong Yin was actually contradicting the heavenly fire martial king. He actually didn't want to be the martial king's disciple. Well said. What's the difference between being the disciple of a lowly person and being a lowly person? Hong Yin, you are the dignified son of the Hong Ing martial king. If you take a scoundrel as your master, it will be a disgrace to the reputation of your Hong Wu country. And the heavenly fire martial king is a despicable and shameless villain. Qin Yin suddenly stood up and said loudly, Chapter 393. Battle of the Royal Palace. Qin Yun's sudden voice surprised everyone in the plaza. Everyone looked behind them, wanting to see who it was that had the guts to insult the heavenly fire martial king in such a manner. Qin Yun brought Jiang Dezhu and slowly walked towards the high platform in the middle of the plaza. Heavenly fire martial king, you scum, why aren't you releasing my 9 extinction gates sect leader? Qin Yun shouted as he walked over. The heavenly fire martial king stood on the platform and watched Qin Yun walk over. His face was also filled with shock. This was because he could sense that Qin Yun's aura was only at the 2nd level of the martial Dao realm. He actually dared to be impudent in front of a martial king like him. Qin Yun, on the platform, Hong Yin shouted in surprise when he recognized Qin Yun. When everyone heard the 2 words Qin Yun, they were secretly alarmed. They stared at Qin Yun's face even more seriously. This was the Qin Yun who had caused the Sword Profound Mountain to be in such a sorry state. At the scene, there were also people from the Sword Profound Mountain. At that moment, they were all looking at Qin Yun angrily. The Heavenly Fire Martial King was secretly alarmed because he knew that Qin Yun had left the city. Furthermore, they had sent people out to kill Qin Yun. But now, Qin Yun was still alive. Qin Yun, you came at the right time. You villain who stole someone else's Dao artifact. I will enforce justice on behalf of the heavens today. The Heavenly Fire Martial King shouted coldly. Quickly hand over the Dragon Suppression Cauldron. The Dragon Suppression Cauldron in Qin Yun's hands was indeed coveted. Even the Heavenly Fire Martial King was no exception. You, a Martial King who serves the evil forces, actually dare to bark here. You are just a dog of Totem Pavilion. Qin Yun cursed angrily. All the sect leaders and elders of the Xian rank sects were shocked to the extreme. They naturally knew of the existence of Totem Pavilion. However, this was a taboo matter. No one had ever mentioned it or discussed it in public. And now, Qin Yun had actually brought out Totem Pavilion and even cursed them for being a demonic sect. This was simply openly opposing Totem Pavilion. Quickly go and kill him. The Heavenly Fire Martial King panicked as he hurriedly shouted. 3 warriors at the peak of the Xian martial realm suddenly flew over and stopped Qin Yun and Jiang Dezhu. Qin Yun, how dare you insult Totem Pavilion? Die! An old man said angrily as he struck at Qin Yun with his palm. As the old man waved his palm, lightning flashed and thunder rumbled in the night sky. The earth trembled and gusts of wind were set off. The people nearby all left their seats, and the tables and chairs were also blown into pieces. It was only an old man at the peak of the Xianwu realm, but his power was terrifying. After the old man's palm strike, Jiang Dezhu shot forward and slashed at the old man's arm. When Jiang Dezhu struck out with his palm, there were still no fluctuations in his aura, making him look like an ordinary warrior. However, the speed of his palm strike was extremely fast. Shua! After Jiang Dezhu's palm struck the old man's wrist, it actually chopped off the palm. The palm of a martial artist at the peak of the Xian martial realm was actually chopped off with bare hands. Qin Yun had thought that Jiang Dezhu was unreliable, but he never expected his strength to be so terrifying. Everyone present was moved, especially the Heavenly Fire Martial King. His face was filled with astonishment as he looked at Jiang Dezhu. In his mind, he was also recalling this person. After Jiang Dezhu struck out with his palm, he paused for a moment before sending out a second palm strike. He used that incomparably fast speed of his palm to strike at the old man's neck. Swish! The old man's head was separated from his body and fell to the ground. A warrior at the peak of the Xian martial realm had actually died. Qin Yun looked at Jiang Dezhu's palm. It was as if it was a sharp weapon of human flesh. A bunch of trash. Jiang Dezhu gave a disdainful snort. His figure flashed as he charged out. He continuously struck out with his palm towards the other 2 elders at the peak of the Xian martial realm. With a few swoosh, 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 the 2 warriors at the peak of the Xian martial realm were killed by Jiang Dezhu before they could even react. The 3 warriors at the peak of the Xian martial realm were all hall masters of Totem Pavilion. Yet, they had been killed in the blink of an eye. That could only mean that the person who killed them was a martial king. The old man beside Qin Yun was actually at the martial king realm. This shocked the people nearby as they ran even further away. "Who are you?" The heavenly fire martial king on the high platform asked angrily. "A dog of totem pavilion like you is not worthy of knowing my name." After Jiangdiju finished speaking, he instantly appeared on the high platform and charged towards the heavenly fire martial king with a palm strike. The heavenly fire martial king was sent flying and crashed into a tall tower in the distance. With a loud boom, the tower collapsed and the earth trembled. Qin Yun hurriedly flew to the high platform and used Mo's power to destroy the chain and rescue Wei Zhongxing. "Seventh Prince, thank you," Qin Yun said to Hong Yen. "All of you leave quickly." Hong Yen frowned and said, "I really didn't expect such a thing to happen so suddenly." Wei Zhongxing looked at the spirit realm and Xian realm warriors and said, "Seventh Prince, does your father not plan on interfering in this matter?" This way, he won't offend anyone." Hong Yen said, "I can only help you to this point. Take care of yourselves." After Hong Yen finished speaking, he flew down and left the high platform. In the distance, Jiang Dezhu and the heavenly fire martial king were engaged in an intense battle in the air. They fought until the pitch-black night sky was filled with flames and trembling sounds. The entire capital was shaking nonstop. The people in the capital city all ran out to prevent their houses from collapsing. "Xiao Yun, who is that senior?" After Wei Zhongxing ate a pill, he hurriedly asked. "I don't know where he came from either. In short, he's very strong. He seems to hate Totem Pavilion." Before Qin Yin could finish his sentence, Wei Zhongxing flew out and repelled a Xian realm martial artist who was attacking him. "Xiao Yin, you go. Without a martial king to deal with me, I'm not afraid of anyone," Wei Zhongxing said. Qin Yun hurriedly used the mysterious star steps to leave through the air. However, he was repelled by a ball of flames that suddenly flew over. "You want to leave? You have to ask me first." A long-faced man wearing a flaming cloak suddenly appeared in the sky. He held a flaming folding fan in his hand as he floated in the air and looked at Qin Yun. From afar, Hong Yen shouted, "Qin Yun, that's the 9th disciple of the heavenly fire martial king, young master flame fan. 3rd stage of the martial Tao, 8 spirit veins, dual fire martial spirits, and also dual Tao cores." Young Master Flame Fan laughed loudly and waved his folding fan at Qin Yun, creating a sea of fire. Such a great battle had occurred in the palace. Yet the Hong Ing martial king did not care. He really did not intend to interfere. What Qin Yun fears the least is flames. Flame Fan Young Master's flames are unable to cause any harm to him. He stomped on the ground with great force, creating a shockwave that blew away the surrounding flames. Suddenly, a gust of wind came from afar, carrying with it the aura of lightning. It was extremely fast. The white shadow was also sent flying by the fierce lightning. Qin Yun immediately hugged the person. It was Hong Mengshu. "Brother Yun, leave quickly. The one who ambushed you just now was the Wind Legia, the 8th disciple of the heavenly fire martial king. He is at the 4th level of the martial Tao realm, and his wind thunder martial spirit is at the purple gold rank." Blood flowed from the corner of Hong Mengshu's mouth. She was severely injured. "9th Princess, does your Hongwu country want to interfere in this matter? Then don't blame us for being impolite." Young Master Flame Fan, who was in the air, said coldly, "Hurry up and leave." Qin Yun looked at the heavily injured Hong Mengshu and felt infuriated. Jiang Dezhu and the heavenly fire martial king were engaged in a fierce battle in the distant sky. Wei Zhongxing was surrounded by the Xian realm and the spirit realm. At this moment, there was no one to help him. As for the experts from the sects in the distance, they could only watch from afar and watch the show. "Hong Yen, come over and take Mengshu away." Qin Yun's cold voice reverberated through the palace, bringing with it a strong, killing intent and a domineering aura. Hong Yen flew over and took the injured Hong Mengshu away. Qin Yun clenched his fists tightly as he looked coldly at young Master Flame Fan in the sky. At the same time, he could sense that the hidden wind Legia had already launched an attack on him. Bastard from Totem Pavilion die. Qin Yun roared angrily as he activated the power of the dragon-resisting boots, causing his body to fly into the air like a bolt of lightning. His sudden burst of speed caught young Master Flame Fan by surprise. It also caused the spectators in the distance to let out waves of exclamations. Master! The moment young Master Flame Fan sensed Qin Yun's arrival, he suddenly sensed the terrifying power within Qin Yun's body. Knowing that he was about to be killed, he hurriedly shouted in fear. However, before he could finish shouting, he saw a cold light. Qin Yun wielded a top-grade spirit saber and executed the 6-style Wind Slayer. When he raised his saber, his aura was like a raging gale, a stormy sea, setting off a bolt of lightning. After the saber fell, the remnant shockwaves shook the mountains and cracked the earth like a broken river. And all of this happened in an instant. Young Master Flame Fan was also instantly sliced into pieces by the 6-style Wind Slayer, scattering all over the shattered ground. Everyone was shocked. The 9th disciple of the Heavenly Fire Martial King, who was most proud of, had actually been smashed into pieces. Young Master Flame Fan had dual fire martial spirits and a super talent of 8 spirit veins. Furthermore, he was only in his 20s and he was already at the 3rd level of the martial Dao. But now he had been instantly killed by Qin Yun, who was at the 2nd level of the martial Dao. Master, 9th junior brother, is dead. He was killed by Qin Yun. A voice shook the sky like a thunderclap. It was the voice of Feng Legia. Ajio. The Heavenly Fire Martial King in the distance immediately roared angrily, causing the ground to tremble once again. Feng Legia also appeared. He was a very short but very muscular man. He held a long rod that flickered with lightning and exuded a frighteningly powerful aura. Someone in the distance exclaimed, "That's a Xian artifact, Thunder Wave Rod. Strike out, thunder surges like waves." As expected of the disciple of the Heavenly Fire Martial King, he actually has such a terrifying Xian artifact. Feng Legia looked coldly at Qin Yun. No one has ever dared to declare war on Totem Pavilion. You are the first. Now, if you want our Totem Pavilion to surface, you will have to pay a painful price. Chapter 394. Jiuju Martial King. No one had ever dared to insult Feng like in such a manner. However, not only had Qin Yun insulted him, he had also mocked Totem Pavilion. He was completely infuriated. Totem Pavilion was a very sacred existence in the eyes of Feng-like. He could not tolerate others insulting it. You arrogant bastard, no one could save you. Feng Legia waved the Thunder Wave rod in his hand, releasing a violent lightning bolt. The bolts of lightning were like giant beasts that surged forward like waves. Qin Yun hurriedly took out the Heavenly Lion Dragon Suppression Cauldron and placed it in front of him. Voila! The lightning struck the Heavenly Lion Dragon Suppression Cauldron and was blocked. The people from the Sword Profound Mountain watched from afar, their eyes red to the extreme. The warriors of the Spirit Realm and the Xian Realm of the Sword Profound Mountain had all gone to deal with Wei Zhongjing. Thus, he could only watch from afar, not daring to act rashly. Through the dragon-resisting boots, Qin Yun's speed had become extremely fast. Even Feng Legia, who was at the 4th level of the martial Dao realm, could not compare to him. You are the arrogant one. Qin Yun instantly rushed over. The Heavenly Lion Dragon Suppressing Cauldron suddenly smashed down. Feng Legia dodged in horror. Boom! The Heavenly Lion Dragon Suppressing Cauldron landed on the ground, creating a terrifying wave of fire that engulfed the surrounding 100 meters. Feng Legia leaped into the air and waved the Thunder Wave rod in his hand crazily, continuously shooting out terrifying lightning. Qin Yun constantly dodged on the ground, dodging the rapidly descending lightning. Wind Thundergest is only his nickname. I didn't expect him to be as terrifying as Wind Thunder. Qin Yun is not weak either. At the 2nd level of the martial Dao realm, he is actually able to fight Feng like to a standstill. The Flame Fan young master from before was also at the 3rd level of the martial Dao realm. However, he was killed by Qin Yun in an instant. This is the most terrifying thing. That is also because young Master Flame Fan and Feng Leijia underestimated the enemy. Looks like no matter who I face, I can't underestimate my enemy. When everyone saw how long Qin Yun lasted, they were greatly astonished. Qin Yun made the Heavenly Lion Dragon Suppressing Cauldron very small. If he could not dodge in time, he would use the Heavenly Lion Dragon Suppressing Cauldron to block the lightning bolts. The ground was already a mess to begin with. Now, the lightning bolts blasted large craters into the ground. Feng Leijia was anxious and angry because he could not kill Qin Yun, who was at the 2nd level of the martial Dao realm. It meant that Qin Yun was equally matched with him. At that moment, everyone could tell that if Qin Yun was at the 3rd level of the martial Dao realm, Feng would have died a long time ago. The Heavenly Lion Dragon Suppressing Cauldron is truly powerful. Although Qin Yun is not at the Xian martial realm and is unable to inject energy into it, he can use the Heavenly Lion Dragon Suppressing Cauldron to defend. Qin Yun has the Heavenly Lion Dragon Suppression Cauldron. Wind Leijia is unable to hit him. Feng Leijia hasn't used any martial skills yet. Look, Wind Thunder Guest is about to make a move. Everyone exclaimed in surprise. Feng Leijia roared, his entire body flashing with lightning. The flashing lightning suddenly condensed together and charged at Qin Yun. As it flew over, it brought with it a gust of wind. It turned into an angry eagle and charged at Qin Yun. Qin Yun was secretly alarmed as he hurriedly threw the Dragon Suppression Cauldron over. That angry eagle had a wingspan of more than 10 meters. It was extremely huge. When it landed, it used its claws to attack and actually grabbed the Heavenly Lion Dragon Suppression Cauldron. The Heavenly Lion Dragon Suppressing Cauldron is mine, Feng Leijia shouted excitedly. Wishful thinking. Qin Yun roared loudly as he threw a punch at the giant Wind Thunder Eagle. He executed the tsunami technique and blasted out waves of shockwaves. The giant Wind Thunder Eagle's claws that were grabbing onto the Dragon Suppression Cauldron were scattered. Qin Yun was alarmed. Just a moment ago, the Dragon Suppression Cauldron had almost been snatched away. Following that, he hurriedly punched the giant Wind Thunder Eagle a few times. However, the giant Wind Thunder Eagle suddenly dispersed and turned into bolts of lightning that returned to Feng Leijia's body. This kind of martial art also astonished Qin Yun. Someone in the distance exclaimed, "That's a mysterious technique. A martial art that uses a martial spirit to attack. It should be the Eagle Transformation mysterious technique." Qin Yun was alarmed. He never expected it to be a mysterious technique. This was a very rare martial art. Just now, he had also experienced the might of a mysterious technique. It could turn the wind and thunder martial spirit into an eagle and almost capture his Dragon Suppression Cauldron. "Come again if you have the guts," Qin Yun shouted at Feng Leijia, who was in the air. Feng Leijia sneered. "You are courting death." After he finished speaking, his entire body flashed with lightning again. This time, the giant Wind Thunder Eagle released by Feng Leijia was even stronger. It was like a giant eagle formed from violent lightning bolts as it charged at Qin Yun. The giant Wind Thunder Eagle swooped down and used its huge beak to charge at him. Releasing your martial spirit is courting death. Qin Yun suddenly enlarged the Dragon Suppression Cauldron. The mouth of the cauldron was more than 10 meters wide and dozens of meters tall. Feng Leijia's expression suddenly changed. However, the giant Wind Thunder Eagle he released had already charged into the Dragon Suppression Cauldron. Bang! Qin Yun closed the lid and kept the cauldron into his storage space. Feng Leijia's face turned pale as a sharp pain came from his head. His martial spirit had been taken away. The spectators in the distance were also in an uproar. A mysterious technique was to release the martial spirit and coordinate it with the powerful inner force of the Dao core to attack. However, The martial spirit that was released was locked into the cauldron by Qin Yun and stripped away. In the air was Feng Leijia. He suffered the pain of having his soul stolen as he fell from the sky. Just as he fell, Qin Yun leaped over and stomped on the ground with his dragon-resisting boots. Roar! The dragon-resisting boots let out a dragon's roar as a purplish gold lightning flame burst out. Qin Yun stomped on Feng Leijia's body with a loud boom. The ground seemed to be torn apart as the wild thunder and fire splashed out like countless fireworks hitting the ground, flying in all directions. It was very shocking. Feng Leijia is dead. Heavens! Qin Yun is at the second level of the martial Dao realm. He actually killed someone at the fourth level of the martial Dao realm. The heavenly lion-dragon suppression cauldron is truly powerful. Although the martial Dao realm is unable to unleash the power of a Dao artifact, using a Dao artifact to fight is extremely terrifying. It can allow one to fight above one's level. Another genius disciple of the heavenly fire martial king has died. The disciple of a martial king actually died so miserably and turned into a pile of pieces. Hoo-hoo-hoo. 2 gusts of wind suddenly blew over as 2 black-clothed men flew over from the direction of the palace's entrance at an extremely fast speed. Little Yun, hurry up and leave. Those are the people from Totem Pavilion. Wei Zhongjing shouted from afar. He was surrounded by more than 10 Xian martial realm and more than 20 spirit martial realm. Everyone was also intimidated by Wei Zhongjing's strength. He had been injured by a martial king before, and now that he was surrounded, he was still able to hold on for so long. However, his body was riddled with wounds. Just as Qin Yun wanted to fly away, he was struck to the ground by a black-clothed man. Spiritual martial realm. Qin Yun was punched in the abdomen and fell to the ground, heavily injured. He was still far from being able to face someone at the spirit martial realm. Stop! The injured Hong Mengshu also hurriedly flew over and pounced on Qin Yun. However, the man in black at the spirit martial realm did not stop. He punched Hong Mengshu's back. Ah! Hong Mengshu screamed and fainted. You bastards, I'll fight out with you. Hong Yin also rushed over. With a furious roar, he punched the black-clothed man at the spirit realm. Scram! The black-clothed man sent Hong Yin flying with a palm strike. Qin Yin looked at the injured Hong Mengshu and Hong Yin. He was infuriated to the extreme. The 2 black-clothed men came over. Just as they were about to attack Hong Mengshu and Qin Yun, a golden light suddenly shot down from afar. A golden-robed, middle-aged man appeared. The middle-aged man's appearance was average, but his expression was cold. His eyes were as sharp as an eagle's as they flickered with a golden light. He glared at the 2 black-clothed men and said coldly, "She is my daughter. You actually plan to kill her?" Hong Ying, our Totem Pavilion is only eliminating the enemy. Do you want to interfere in this matter? You want to help the enemies of Totem Pavilion? The warrior at the spirit realm took a few steps back. It's your business to kill Qin Yun. It's my business to save my children. I didn't say I was going to interfere. The golden-robed middle-aged man raised his hand, and Hong Mengshu floated into the air. He hugged Hong Mengshu and rushed towards Hong Yin, who was not far away. He left behind a sentence for Qin Yun. You once helped Shu and Yin They have repaid your kindness now. You don't owe each other anything. Royal father, save brother Yun. He will die. Hong Mengshu, who was in a daze, muttered softly, If I save him, who will save our Hong Wu country? The Hong Ying martial king sighed and flew away with Hong Yin and Hong Mengshu. No one dared to breathe. The 2 black-clothed men at the spirit realm had actually forced the Hong Ying martial king to retreat. Many people did not know about Totem Pavilion. When they heard Qin Yun mention Totem Pavilion, they thought that Qin Yun had fabricated it. But now, when they saw the 2 black-clothed men from Totem Pavilion being so powerful, they immediately believed that Totem Pavilion truly existed and that it was very powerful. Even Hong Ying martial king did not dare to offend Totem Pavilion. Qin Yun had suffered a punch from a warrior at the spirit realm. A chaotic energy had been injected into his body. It was constantly wreaking havoc within his body, making it difficult for him to circulate his inner force. Hand over the heavenly lion dragon suppression cauldron. A black-clothed man stepped on Qin Yun's chest and said coldly. Qin Yun looked at the black mask and said with a sneer, "You bunch of evil demons, don't even think about getting anything from me. Looks like you don't want to die easily. You want to be tortured by us, right?" A black-clothed man's voice contained a trace of viciousness as he took out a few long needles. The long needle glowed with a purple light. It was obvious that it was poisonous. "I'll let you have a taste of our poison needles." The black-clothed man spoke and pierced the needle into Qin Yun's shoulder. "Ah!" Qin Yun's screams echoed in the square. "Ha ha!" The Totem Pavilion Spirit Martial Realm martial artist laughed wildly. Again, as he spoke, he pierced a long needle into Qin Yun's thigh. Qin Yun's body convulsed as he screamed again and again. Stabbing pain surged through his body, causing his face to contort from the pain. "Totem Pavilion, you bunch of bastards, I won't let you off." Wei Zhongxing was in the distance. When he saw Qin Yun being captured, he was infuriated. "Wei Zhongxing, you can't even protect yourself, and you're still spouting such empty words." The black-clothed man who was stepping on Qin Yun laughed loudly and said, "Don't worry. When you get caught later, we'll let you have a taste of how powerful our poison needles are." Wei Zhongxing, who was burning with rage, suddenly let out a loud roar. His body shone brightly like a blazing sun, illuminating the entire palace. The sky was immediately enveloped in a golden flame. At this moment, Wei Zhongxing was like the sun at dawn, illuminating half the sky. Boom! Boom! The ground of the palace constantly rose and fell, producing muffled tremors. The sudden burst of power from Wei Zhongxing made all the Xian realm cultivators present extremely envious. Martial King, he's broken through. Wei Zhongxing has stepped into the Martial King realm and become a Martial King. He has finally broken through after being stuck at the peak of the Xian martial realm. Chapter 395. Legend of the Nine Arrows. Qin Yun lay on the ground. When he saw Wei Zhongxing break through, he was extremely excited. The pain in his body seemed to be swept away. The people besieging Wei Zhongxing were also terrified and fled. "Die!" Wei Zhongxing waved his hand and released a flame that condensed into a 100-meter-long whip. It swept towards the dozen Xian martial realm cultivators and the 30 spirit martial realm cultivators who were running away. Ah! Those of the Xian martial realm and the spirit martial realm immediately let out miserable cries as their bodies were broken by the flaming whip. Everyone looked at the pile of wriggling corpses on the ground, their fear reaching its peak. This was the terror of a martial king, instantly killing a Xian martial realm warrior. The two black-clothed men surrounding Qin Yun saw that the situation was amiss and brandished their sabers to kill Qin Yun. Who? A beam of fiery red light rushed over. In the blink of an eye, Wei Zhongxing flew thousands of meters and rushed to Qin Yun's side. He pressed his hands on the heads of the two black-clothed men and forcefully pulled, ripping off their heads. Bang! He poured 2 streams of flames into the 2 heads and made them explode. Wei Zhongxing hurriedly took out a detoxification pill and placed it in Qin Yun's mouth. Then he injected his power into Qin Yun's body and discovered the 3 Dao cores in Qin Yun's body. While Wei Zhongxing was shocked, he frowned and said, "Xiao Yun, your injuries are very serious. Relax your entire body and let me heal you." Qin Yun also knows that the secret of his 3 Dao cores has been discovered by Wei Zhongxing. He trusted Wei Zhongxing, so he relaxed his body and let Wei Zhongxing send a healing power to repair his damaged body. After Wei Zhongxing injected a wave of energy into Qin Yun's body, he carried him on his back and ran into the distance. In the distant sky, Jiang Dezhu and the Heavenly Fire Martial King were locked in battle. Heavenly Fire Martial King, you dog of Totem Pavilion. Back then, Many experts and genius disciples of my nine extinction gate were killed by the combined forces of Totem Pavilion and Fire King sect. Today, you shall pay with your life. Wei Zhongjing, who was carrying Qin Yin on his back, swung the fire whip in his hand and flew out to tie up the heavenly fire martial king. Thank you, brother. Jiang Deju's strength was on par with the heavenly fire martial king. Now that the heavenly fire martial king was tied up, he immediately flew over, picked up the jade coffin, and smashed it at the heavenly fire martial spirit's head. Bang! 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 Every time the jade coffin hit the ground, the rocks on the ground would jump high. Everyone looked into the distance, their hearts filled with shock and fear. The heavenly fire martial king, who was looked up to by hundreds of millions of people, was actually smashed to the point of bleeding with a coffin. Catch him! The injured Qin Yun suddenly shouted. All right. Jiang Deju opened the coffin lid and placed the heavenly fire martial king inside. Let's go. Wei Zhongjing carried Qin Yun on his back as he flew towards the entrance of the palace. Jiang Deju followed behind and was also wary of the two hidden martial kings. In the palace, there were two other martial kings. One was the Hong Ing martial king, and the other was unknown. From the beginning to the end, they had not interfered in this matter. Even though the Hongwu Palace had been turned into ruins, the Hong Ing martial king had been watching from the sidelines. He had only saved his children. Finally, the palace that had been turned into ruins gradually quietened down. Everyone, the banquet is over. Everyone, please return. Is everyone satisfied with tonight's banquet? The voice of the Hong Ing martial king could be heard. Many people were satisfied. After all, they were able to witness such a major event with their own eyes. Everyone was filled with excitement and fear as they hurriedly left the palace. They had to quickly return and report this matter to the elders of their forces. In the Hongwu Royal Palace, in a pavilion that had not collapsed. Father, what's wrong with Brother Yin? Hong Mengshu, who was lying on the bed, asked softly. Wei Zhongjing suddenly broke through and stepped into the martial king realm. The heavenly fire martial king was captured and Qin Yun was treated. He left Hongwu Royal City. Hong Ing sighed softly. I really didn't expect such an outcome tonight. Hong Yin, who was sitting on a chair, looked much better. He asked, Father, will Totem Pavilion blame you for not helping the heavenly fire martial king and the others? Blame? We give them so many rare treasures every 100 years. Isn't that enough? Hong Ing sneered. Hong Mengshu said in a low voice, Father, you won't blame us for helping Qin Yun, right? Of course not. As a person, one must be able to distinguish between gratitude and grudges and be happy with gratitude and enmity. Hong Ying smiled. It's not bad that you can make friends with this person. If Totem Pavilion is unable to completely annihilate the Nine Extinction Profound Gate in the future, then no one will be able to stop the Nine Extinction Profound Gate from becoming stronger. Hong Yin said, Father, was it really Totem Pavilion that killed so many people from the Nine Extinction Profound Gate? Could it be that it was just to prevent them from becoming stronger? Hong Mengshu was also very curious as she looked at Hong Ying. Hong Ying nodded and said, You should all know that the Nine Extinction Profound Gate has 9 pillars, right? That is a totem carved with the sun. Legend has it that it fell from the 9 suns in ancient times. Every pillar is an arrow. Legend has it that in the primordial era, there were a total of 10 suns. One of them has never been seen and is hidden in the sky. The 9 suns that can be seen release a very strong heat, making it impossible for the living beings on the earth to survive. Then, a god appeared and refined 9 bows and arrows. He shot them into the 9 suns and sealed the heat of the 9 suns. He only allowed the 9 suns to release the 9 suns' spiritual energy. Hong Mengshu frowned and said, Didn't the 9 arrows seal the heat of the 9 suns? Why did they appear in the martial desolate land? Now that the 9 suns are not sealed by the 9 arrows, they are not hot. Father, since the 9 arrows have left the 9 suns, Does that mean that the heat of the 9 suns is about to be unsealed? Hong Ing shook his head and said, "When I was young, I heard from the older generation that there was a mysterious divine desolate land in the 9 desolate lands. There were many powerful deities there that maintained the stable operation of the 9 desolate lands and the 9 suns. It's possible that the 9 suns were later controlled by the gods. Those gods felt that the 9 arrows were useless, so they took them down and fell into the martial desolate land." He patted Hong Mingshu's head and smiled. "These are all legends. You can't take it seriously. Just treat it as a story. In short, the 9 pillars of the 9 extinction profound gate are all extremely precious yang totems. Therefore, Totem Pavilion has always wanted to control the 9 extinction profound gate and pry into the secrets of the sun totem from the inside. Is this also the reason why the 9 extinction profound gate can become stronger in the future?" Hong Yin asked. Hong Ying nodded and said, "As long as someone can control the sun totem on the 9 pillars, the 9 extinction profound gate will definitely become the strongest sect in the martial desolate land." Inside Wei Zhongjing's flying golden boat, Qin Yun was recuperating with his eyes closed. "Elder Jiang, didn't you say that you could deal with 2 martial kings? But against the heavenly fire martial king, you actually fought for so long." Qin Yun said faintly, "I've been sealed for many years, and my strength has been greatly depleted. I haven't been able to recover to my peak state in a short period of time. Otherwise, I would have slapped that flaming head to death with a single palm." Zhang Dezhu said, "Humph, I was almost tricked to death by you." Qin Yun snorted softly. Wei Zhongjing said with a smile, "Little Yun, what Elder Jiang said was true because he was not considered a human. He was a puppet that was close to a human. If he had really been sealed for a long time, then the energy loss would have been severe." Qin Yun opened his eyes and looked at Zhang Dezhu in disbelief. He never expected that the old man who had been sealed in ice for 10,000 years was actually a puppet. What was terrifying was that this puppet actually had the strength of a martial king. In that case, the person who refined him must have a very high cultivation, far surpassing the martial king realm. Although I'm a puppet, I'm a very high-level one. I have a soul and emotions. Furthermore, I'm loyal and I know how to repay kindness. When Jiang Dezhu saw Qin Yun's strange gaze, he hurriedly said, "Don't look at me like a tool." Qin Yun stroked his chin and said with a smile, "I actually want to cut you into 8 pieces and study the totem runes in your body. Don't act recklessly." Jiang Dezhu hurriedly shrunk into a corner. Following that, Qin Yun told Wei Zhongjing about the jade coffin he had obtained. "Elder Jiang, what happened to you back then?" Wei Zhongjing asked curiously. Jiang Dezhu let out a long sigh. "Isn't it because of the ancient garden? Back then, there was a huge fight inside, and I was sent by the spirit desolate to settle the fight. However, those guys didn't listen to my advice and even started fighting with me. Later on, I fought my way out of the ancient garden and came outside, which is that ancient jade mountain range. I was surrounded by many powerful fellows and then captured and sealed inside the jade coffin. Just as I was sealed, the experts of the spirit desolate appeared and created a huge black mountain to suppress me and that group of fellows. Those fellows who besieged me also died, and I was completely suppressed under that mountain." Qin Yun said, "So you were abandoned?" Jiang Dezhu said with some sadness, "It should be. I don't know how to head to the spirit desolate either. I want to find my master." Wei Zhongjing patted the jade coffin and said, "Xiao Yun, this guy is the heavenly fire martial king. If we capture him alive, the Fire King sect will definitely explode. Don't be in a hurry to kill me after capturing me. I have great use for it." Qin Yun chuckled. For the heavenly fire martial king to become a martial king, his martial spirit must be very powerful. Qin Yun wanted to use the soul refining art to extract the heavenly fire martial king's martial spirit. Jian Xuanzi's cultivation was at the peak of the Xian martial realm. Qin Yun could also successfully extract him. As for the martial king realm, he did not know. Now I have stepped into the martial king realm. Our nine-extinction profound gate will also draw our swords against Totem Pavilion. The enmity from back then must be settled. Wei Zhongjing said angrily. Jiang Dezhu said in a deep voice, Totem Pavilion is not that simple. One must know that Totem Pavilion entered the Beast Desolate Land from the Magical Desolate Land. After attacking the Beast Desolate Land and turning it into the Magical Beast Desolate Land, they sent people into the Martial Desolate Land. In other words, the strongest power of Totem Pavilion is still in the Magical Desolate Land. And the Magical Desolate Land is an existence that is as powerful as the Spirit Desolate Land. If we provoke Totem Pavilion, the Magical Beast Desolate Land and the Magical Desolate Land will definitely send reinforcements. Qin Yun said, Isn't the Spirit Desolate Land going to help? If we allow the Magical Desolate Land to expand, the Spirit Desolate Land might even be annexed by the Magical Desolate Land in the end. Jiang Dezhu shook his head and said, You might not know this. There are no passages between the Spirit Desolate Land and the other Great Desolate Lands. It is extremely difficult to travel back and forth. And back then, a passage suddenly appeared between the Beast Desolate Land and the Magical Desolate Land. Therefore, the Magical Desolate forces attacked the Beast Desolate Land and took it down. Because the Beast Desolate Land, the Martial Desolate Land, and the Demon Desolate Land are connected, the Demon Desolate Land and the Demon Desolate Land are connected, the Magical Desolate Land and the Desolate Land. Chapter 396. Martial Spirit Evolution. Wei Zhongjing and company did not encounter any attacks along the way and smoothly returned to the Nine Extinction Gate. Along the way, Jiang Dezhu said that he had matters to attend to and did not follow Qin Yun and company back to the Nine Extinction Gate. He also transferred the Heavenly Fire Martial King into Qin Yun's Dragon Suppression Cauldron. After Qin Yun followed Wei Zhongjing back to the Nine Extinction Gate, he was brought to a secret chamber. After Wei Zhongjing entered the secret chamber, he hurriedly said, Little Yun, what's the situation with the Tao core in your body? In your heart, there is another martial spirit. Your dual martial spirits are not thunder and fire. Furthermore, your thunder-fire martial spirit is still on your arm. The martial spirit in your dantian is even stranger. In the past few days, Qin Yun knew that Wei Zhongjing was trustworthy. Therefore, he did not hide anything and said, My heart is a black vibration martial spirit, and my dantian is a very strange nether sun martial spirit. In short, I managed to cultivate it in a muddle-headed manner. When Wei Zhongjing heard this, he was so surprised that he couldn't speak. A moment later, he said, Nether sun martial spirit? This is a very mysterious martial spirit, and there are only a few records of it. No one knows the exact situation. You have 3 martial spirits coexisting in your body, and you have even cultivated 3 Tao cores. This is indeed not easy. This will definitely require a lot of resources. Sect Master, if I continue cultivating like this, will there be other problems? Qin Yun asked worriedly. Wei Zhongjing said, I don't know about anything else, but since you have a black martial spirit, it will be extremely difficult for you to break through to the 3rd level of the martial Tao realm. Why? Qin Yun frowned. Isn't the martial Tao realm cultivating life marks? What does it have to do with a martial spirit? Wei Zhongjing said, The 3rd level of the martial Tao realm is to cultivate the 3rd life mark. If you want to cultivate the 3rd life mark, you have to evolve your martial spirit. It's fine for the purple gold martial spirit to evolve, but it's even more difficult for the black martial spirit to evolve. Qin Yun asked anxiously, Why do you say that? Evolution. Is it to change the color of the martial spirit? My martial spirit is black. Does it mean that I have reached the peak and am unable to evolve? So, I am unable to cultivate the 3rd life mark? Wei Zhongjing shook his head and said, Evolution is not about changing colors. The evolution of changing color is something only a few people can achieve. Normally, one's martial spirit will undergo a dual elemental evolution, or the evolution of the martial spirit. For example, there was originally only a thunder martial spirit. After evolution, it became a wind, thunder martial spirit. If one's luck is good, then they can become dual martial spirits or change colors. But these are very rare. The most common is to undergo a dual attribute evolution. Qin Yin now understood why high-level martial artists had dual martial spirits. Wei Zhongjing said, if you have a dual attributed martial spirit, then when your martial spirit evolves, it might only strengthen your martial spirit and deepen its color. In that case, my vibration martial spirit and Nether Sun martial spirit are both black. Is it very difficult to evolve them? Qin Yin said worriedly. Yes. The third life mark is condensed at the same time as the martial spirit evolves. Wei Zhongjing nodded. There have been martial artists with black martial spirits in the past. Because it was difficult to evolve, that martial artist died of old age at the second level of the martial Dao realm. Qin Yun's heart skipped a beat as he said, Sect Master, don't scare me. Wei Zhongjing said with a grave expression, I'm not trying to scare you. But don't worry, I will ask around to see if there are any successful examples. During this period of time, you should also try and see if you can break through. You have cultivated the second life mark and can now condense the martial spirit's Dao energy. You can use the Dao energy of the martial spirit to nurture it until it evolves. Qin Yin nodded. Perhaps this will require a large amount of resources. It's indeed not easy for you to cultivate 3 Dao cores. Furthermore, it's a miracle that you can cultivate to such a level at such a young age. Don't worry, I will support you as well. I think you can continue to create miracles in the future. Wei Zhongjing suddenly smiled. Perhaps I'm too worried. After all, I can't use common sense to judge your situation. That's right, Sect Master. Let's deal with this guy now. Qin Yin took out the Heavenly Lion Dragon Suppression Cauldron and opened the lid. The heavily injured Heavenly Fire Martial King was bound by Wei Zhongjing's fire whip and unable to move. Wei Zhongjing said, Little Yin, you told me not to kill him. What do you plan to do? You guys will die a horrible death. The Heavenly Fire Martial King roared angrily. Sect Master, I can extract other people's martial spirits. However, I have never extracted a martial king before, so I want you to watch from my side. If anything goes wrong, you can help me in time. Qin Yun said with a smile. When Wei Zhongjing and the Heavenly Fire Martial King heard this, they were incomparably astonished. That's great. Wei Zhongjing laughed. Qin Yun, you bastard, you can't extract my martial spirit. This is against the martial way. The Heavenly Fire Martial King shouted with a face full of fear. You have killed so many people from our 9 extinction profound gate, and Totem Pavilion has also extracted other people's totems. Isn't this something that goes against the Great Tao? Wei Zhongjing sneered and said to Qin Yun, Little Yin, you can begin now. Qin Yun placed his hand on the Heavenly Fire Martial King's abdomen and whispered, I wonder what this guy's martial spirit is. It should be very strong. Little bastard, I'm going to eat you alive. The Heavenly Fire Martial King was so angry that his eyes spat fire as he roared. Qin Yun frowned and cast the soul extraction art. Suddenly, he felt that his strength was insufficient. Sect Master, help me. I need energy. Qin Yun promptly shouted. Wei Zhongjing quickly placed his hand on Qin Yun's back and injected his Martial King's robust power. Not long after, Qin Yun, who was sweating profusely, extracted a purplish gold pearl from the abdomen of the Heavenly Fire Martial Spirit. The pearl was surrounded by purplish gold flames, and from time to time, it would flicker with a very strong aura. The moment the bead appeared, the temperature in the secret chamber suddenly rose and became extremely hot. It's the purple gold star spirit. He has cultivated his martial spirit into a star and condensed it into a small star. Wei Zhongjing chuckled. Little Yun, What do you plan on doing with this martial spirit? The heavenly fire martial king, who was lying in the dragon suppression cauldron, had a pale face and a face full of death aura. He was about to die. The heavenly fire martial king felt extremely aggrieved. He, a dignified martial king, had been tortured to such a state. He held back a wave of resentment in his heart. I plan to absorb this martial spirit. As Qin Yun spoke, he placed it into his abdomen and allowed the Nether Sun martial spirit to absorb it. The Nether Sun martial spirit's absorption power was the strongest, and it was also a bottomless pit. It required a large amount of energy in order to make it stronger. Then you have to be careful. Don't let anything go wrong. Wei Zhongjing patted Qin Yun on the shoulder and said, I'll take this fellow out and show it to the disciples to increase their confidence. Qin Yun stayed in the secret chamber and circulated the 9 Extinction Hearts Sutra to refine the martial spirit that had been devoured. He had mastered the soul refining art and could extract martial spirits. Furthermore, he could fuse his martial spirit with other martial spirits, allowing his martial spirit to quickly become stronger. Therefore, he felt that it wouldn't be a problem for his 3 martial spirits to evolve. At most, it would take a little more time. The 3rd level of the martial Tao realm can allow my martial spirit to evolve once. I wonder what will happen to my 3 martial spirits after they evolve. Qin Yun was secretly looking forward to it. Qin Yun had been in seclusion for more than 10 days and had also digested the heavenly fire martial king's martial spirit. He walked out of the secret chamber and hurried to the medicine garden. At noon, Yuan Yinying was controlling the Great Formation and summoning the 9-colored spirit rain to water the spirit herbs. Yinying, Qin Yun hurriedly walked over and said with a chuckle, I just so happen to be taking a bath. As he spoke, he entered the 9-colored spirit rain and allowed the rain to wash him. Yuan Yinying said with a chuckle, Brother, our 9 Extinction Profound Gate is finally not the weakest Xian sect. Once you join our 9 Extinction Profound Gate, our luck will change. You are truly the lucky star of the 9 Extinction Profound Gate. Yinying, with the help of this formation, you won't be that tired during this period of time, right? Qin Yun said with a smile. Yes, I can spare a lot of time to cultivate. I also need to become stronger as soon as possible. Yuan Yinying nodded. Not long after, the 9-colored spirit rain stopped, and the medicinal garden was filled with 9-colored clouds. Yuan Yinying, who was wearing a simple white dress, also walked into the medicinal field and flew around. She was like a happy butterfly fairy, lively, beautiful, and enchanting. Qin Yun had also absorbed the energy of the 9-colored spirit rain and became extremely spirited. He returned to his room and changed into a set of clean blue clothes. When he came out of the small building, he saw the 2nd elder there. Little Yun, there's a masked woman looking for you outside. When the 2nd elder saw Qin Yun come out, he hurriedly said, Could it be the 9th princess, Hong Mengshu? Yuan Yinying smiled and said, Brother, according to the legends, Princess Mengshu has been captivated by you. Qin Yun pinched Yuan Yinying's face. Yinying, don't spout nonsense. She and I are just good friends. He looked at the 2nd elder and asked, Did that woman say her name? She didn't. However, she gave me a small bottle and said that as long as you open it, you will know who she is. The 2nd elder shrugged and said, This woman seems to want to hide her identity. Qin Yun took the bottle and opened it. He could sense the aura of the purple immortal dew. It carried a faint fragrance. It was Zi Qingqing's purple immortal dew. 2nd elder, can you let that woman in? Qin Yun asked softly. If she's really worthy of your trust, then of course she can come in. The 2nd elder smiled. Little Yun, I didn't expect a woman to come looking for you so quickly. Yuan Yinying smiled tenderly and said, Who asked my brother Yun to be so charming? This is very normal. Qin Yun also wanted to meet Zi Qingqing and ask her about Xiao Yuelon and company. Ever since they parted ways in the Cloud Dragon Mountain Range, he had always wanted to know about Xiao Yuelon and Yang Shi situation. He only knew that Xiao Yuelon was in the Moon Profound Valley. After the second elder left, Yuan Yining asked curiously, "Brother, who is that woman? Is it Sister Shuri Wei or Sister Yuelon? A fat woman with a face like a steamed bun. If everything goes well, I will get her to bring my disciple here. At that time, my disciple will be able to accompany you in cultivation," Qin Yun said with a smile. Chapter 397. Forging talisman weapons. Not long after, the second elder brought Zi Qingsheng into the garden. Zi Qingsheng was wearing a purple robe and a hood, revealing only her eyes. In the desert, this was a rather normal attire. "If you want to go out, just let me know," the second elder said and left in a hurry. And out of the 9 extremes formation, only the elders and the sect leader could open the passage out. If he wanted to enter and exit the 9 extinction profound gate, he would have to look for them. Zi Qingsheng entered the ancient bronze building and took off her hood, revealing her slightly round and beautiful face. Yuan Yining, who was at the side, could not help but be taken aback when she saw such a beauty. That was because Qin Yin had previously said that this woman was a fat woman. "Sister Steam Bun, your face seems to be a little round. Let me pinch it," Qin Yin said with a grin. He also walked over and pinched Zi Qingqing's face. Zi Qingqing spat and slapped Qin Yun's hand away. "You little brat, you're still so annoying." She looked at Yuan Yining and said, "Qin Yun, you never lack beauties by your side. Sister Steam Bun, this is my recognized sister, Yuan Yining." After Qin Yun said that, he said to Yuan Yining, "Yining, this Sister Steam Bun's name is Zi Qingsheng. She's quite strong and is a martial artist of the spirit realm." "Sister Qingsheng, hello." Just now, Yuan Yining could tell that Zi Qingqing's cultivation was not low. It was rare for her to see such a young and beautiful spirit realm cultivator. She was very envious. "Hello, little girl." Zi Qingsheng smiled charmingly. Yuan Yining hurriedly said, "Sister Qingsheng, please take a seat." After Zi Qingsheng sat down, Yuan Yining took out the juice she had made and poured it for Zi Qingsheng to drink. "Sister Qingsheng, are you from the Moon Profound Valley? I seem to have heard that the #1 beauty in the northern region was once born in the Moon Profound Valley. Her name seems to be Qingsheng as well." Yuan Yining suddenly thought of something and said with some doubt. When she first came to the martial desolate land, she also wanted to enter the Moon Profound Valley. Therefore, she went to gather information about the Moon Profound Valley and had a good understanding of it. Qin Yun immediately shook his head and laughed. "Sister Steam Bun was once the #1 beauty in the northern prefecture. How is that possible?" "Yining, you remembered wrongly. But then again, she was indeed a disciple of the Moon Profound Valley." Zi Qingsheng glared at Qin Yun bitterly. "Brat, you actually looked down on me. I was indeed the #1 beauty in the northern region back then. If it wasn't for the fact that I didn't want to be, I would still be the #1 chubby beauty in the northern region. That's more like it." Qin Yun laughed. I'll pinch you to death." Zi Qingsheng stomped her feet in anger and immediately went over. She pinched Qin Yun's handsome face and rubbed it vigorously. Yuan Yining was somewhat dumbfounded when she saw this. She really could not believe that a great beauty of the spirit martial realm was actually playing around with Qin Yun like a child. Zi Qingsheng was at the spirit martial realm. She now had the upper hand as she rubbed Qin Yun's face until it turned red. "Damn Steam Bun, relying on your strength to bully me. I'll also pinch you." Qin Yun's hands grabbed randomly and accidentally grabbed something soft. "Ah!" Zi Qingsheng screamed. Yuan Yining blushed when she saw this because Qin Yun refused to let go of a certain part of Zi Qingsheng. She hurriedly said, "Sister Qingsheng, you must have something important to say to Brother Yun. Stop messing around and get down to business." Zi Qingqing's hand left Qin Yun's face, and Qin Yun's hand also left Zi Qingqing's body. "You little brat, you're infuriating me to death." Zi Qingsheng did not blush either. Instead, she glared at Qin Yun angrily. Qin Yun never expected that the feeling of grabbing her would be so wonderful that it left him with an endless aftertaste. He snorted, "Sister Steam Bun, you have to pay the price for taking advantage of me." Seeing that the two of them were about to bicker, Yuan Yinying hurriedly said, "Sister Qingsheng, don't lower yourself to his level. Quickly drink the juice. Yinying, you're such a good person. You have to stay away from this bad brat. Don't be led astray by him." Zi Qingsheng drank Yuan Yinying's juice, and her mood improved. Qin Yun sat on a chair and crossed his legs as he asked, "The number one beauty of the northern region. What business do you have with a little brat like me? I'm so bad, yet you still came to find me. Could it be that you miss me?" Zi Qingsheng snorted. "Who the hell would miss you? I came here to find you because I wanted to tell you about Yuelon and the others. I never thought that you would treat them like that." "All right, Sister Steam Bun, I was wrong." Qin Yun walked over and said with a smile, "Come, drink some juice." Zi Qingsheng said proudly, "That's more like it." Following that, she also talked about the situation of Xiaoyu, Lan Jin, and the others. Because they all came from the borderlands and their talents were extraordinary, the Moon Profound Valley hid them and temporarily did not let them show their faces to avoid causing too much trouble. When Qin Yun learned that Yang Shiyu's injuries were completely healed, he felt a lot more at ease. As for Xiao Yuelon, she had naturally successfully stepped into the martial Dao realm. Qin Yun knew Xiao Yuelon's situation the best. She also had 3 martial spirits, and none of them were weak. It was also because she had the immortal graveyard diagram on her, so her cultivation speed was definitely not slow. "Sister Steam Bun, can you get Sister Lan to come here?" Qin Yun asked. "She's my disciple. I want to impart the knowledge of inscription to her. I have to go back and ask Grandma Du. I can't make a decision. Right now, Fengjin is also a disciple of the Moon Profound Valley. If she wants to leave the sect, she has to get Grandma Du's approval." Zi Qingsheng said with some difficulty. Qin Yun suddenly thought of something and asked curiously, "Sister Steam Bun, weren't you kicked out of the Moon Profound Valley? You can still go back now." Zi Qingsheng said, "I am now a new disciple of the Moon Profound Valley. Also, the Violet Spirit Star Palace in the Borderlands has also been taken over by the Moon Profound Valley. The Floating Spirit Valley and the Wind Spirit Sect have been destroyed by the Moon Profound Valley. The Borderlands should be under the control of the Moon Profound Valley. I have also instructed them to cooperate more with the Tianqin Empire. As for the matter of you having a totem, I'm not sure how long you can keep a secret." Qin Yun had exposed his vibration martial spirit, Heavenly Lion Totem and Dragon Tiger Totem at the borders. Sooner or later, this matter would spread. At that time, it would definitely cause Totem Pavilion to become even more frenzied to deal with him. Zi Qingsheng had also told Qin Yun that Moon Profound Valley's old lady, Du, would secretly help him and try her best to keep it a secret. Qin Yun could naturally guess that old lady Du had taken a fancy to his potential. He didn't mind having another powerful helper. "Sister Steam Bun, can you do me a favor? I want to know the situation after she entered the martial desolate land." Qin Yun had always been very worried about this matter. Previously, he had entrusted Mu Feng to help him inquire about it. "No problem." Zi Qingsheng nodded. Old Madame Du had instructed her to develop a good relationship with Qin Yun so that it would be convenient for the Moon Profound Valley and the 9 Extinction Gate to cooperate in the future. "Little brat, I was unable to save you at the Cloud Dragon Mountain Range. I'm really sorry." Zi Qingsheng lowered her head and said guiltily, "At that time, I was bleeding and almost killed." Qin Yun snorted softly. "I'm sorry, but I did my best. If not for old lady Du keeping me and Feng Jin in her storage space, I would have fought them to the death." Zi Qingsheng bit her lips and said. Qin Yun said, "If you let me rub your face, I won't blame you." Zi Qingsheng was stunned for a moment before she bitterly spat. "Come on." Qin Yun poked his hand and said with a chuckle, "Sister Steam Bun, I don't know if your face has some kind of magic, but I want to rub it the moment I see it." As he spoke, he placed his hand on Zi Qingsheng's beautiful face and gently rubbed it. Zi Qingcheng also had an expression of being at the mercy of others, filled with helplessness. Brother, enough. Sister Qingqing's face is almost swollen from your rubbing. Yuan Yinying hurriedly walked over and pulled Qin Yun away. Qin Yun said, I only rubbed it a few times. Yuan Yinying said with a smile, Brother, Sister Qingcheng is the #1 beauty in the history of the northern region. You should give her some face. Zi Qingcheng smiled tenderly and said, Yinying, you're such a good person. Don't be led astray by this little brat in the future. She held Yuan Yinying's lily-white hand and took out a bottle. She said, This is a small gift from Sister Qingcheng. It's the famous Moon Profound Dew of the Moon Profound Valley. Yuan Yinying took the bottle and opened it. She exclaimed, An entire bottle! So many! Thank you, Sister Qingcheng. This thing is too precious. You're welcome, as long as you like it. Zi Qingcheng also liked Yuan Yinying very much as she smiled sweetly. Qin Yun curled his lips and said, Sister Steam Bun, aren't you going to give me some gifts? I don't have anything good left. At most, I'll let you rub my face. Zi Qingcheng smiled mischievously. Come on, I'm not afraid of you rubbing my face anymore. I'm already used to it. If you rub my face thin, you won't call me Sister Steam Bun anymore. Qin Yun said snappily, Then forget it. Sister Steam Bun, Yinying likes you so much. You can stay here with her for a few days, right? No problem. I will also guide her in her cultivation. Our Moon Profound Valley has a lot of experience in women's cultivation. After Zi Qingcheng finished speaking, she hurriedly pulled Yuan Yinying and said with a smile, Yinying, bring me to the secret chamber now. I'll teach you a special method of cultivation that will allow you to advance by leaps and bounds. Yuan Yinying was very happy as she hurriedly entered a secret chamber with Zi Qingcheng. Qin Yun looked at the medicinal field outside before running into the secret chamber. He took out 2 pieces of paper and drew a royal-grade spirit mark on them. The spirit marks needed for a talisman artifact. When he was in Jade Xian City, he had also learned about talisman artifacts. They were a special type of spirit artifact. When forging a spirit artifact, there would be a storage space reserved inside the spirit artifact. This storage space was special and was specially used to store special spirit talismans. The spirit talisman would first fuse with the spirit artifact. During battle, if needed, the spirit talisman hidden within the spirit artifact could be shot out and branded onto the body of others. Sometimes, in order to cause damage to the enemy, the spirit artifact would be shot out, causing the spirit artifact and the spirit talisman inside to explode together. Zi Qingcheng had been attacked by 2 talisman artifacts before, and her body had been branded with spirit marks. After that, she had no choice but to endure the shame and let Qin Yun take away the spirit marks on her delicate body. Chapter 398. Inscription Royal City. Qin Yun was still unable to forge a royal-grade spirit artifact. Previously, when he was forging a top-grade spirit artifact, he realized that he was still a little short of being able to reach the level of a royal-grade spirit artifact. However, crafting a royal-grade spirit talisman was not a problem. He had been able to refine top-grade spirit talismans for a long time. Now that he was at the Martial Dao realm, it was not too difficult for him to craft a royal-grade spirit talisman. A top-grade talisman weapon should have quite a bit of power. Qin Yun took out a saber. This saber was a top-grade spirit artifact that he had forged during the examination. Now, he was going to transform this saber into a talisman weapon. He had forged that saber himself, so he knew the internal structure the best. It would be easier to modify it. He only added a void spirit stone and created a small storage space within the blade. Then, he added some spirit inscriptions to allow the storage space to fit with the talisman, allowing him to freely retract it. After the saber was modified by him, he began to refine a royal-grade spirit talisman. He did not know what the name of the talisman was because those royal-grade spirit inscriptions were all copied from Zi Qingcheng's body. Although the 2 royal-grade spirit inscriptions were complicated, Qin Yun's mental strength was powerful. Furthermore, his extinction spirit I had some degree of mastery, allowing him to see the complicated and chaotic spirit inscriptions in an orderly manner. In addition to his innate talent, he was able to smoothly inscribe the royal grade spirit inscriptions onto the talisman paper. He could make a royal grade spirit talisman in a day. Only after he had made 6 did he walk out of the secret room. Outside the ancient bronze building, Zi Qingqing's black hair was straight to her waist. She wore a simple purple dress, but it did not lose its elegance and dignity. The luxurious purple dress accentuated her voluptuous figure and added a bit of seductive charm to her. Zi Qingqing seriously looked at the 9-colored spirit rain falling from the medicinal garden. She was lost in thought. Sister Steam Bun. Qin Yun came to her side and gently caressed her beautiful face. Zi Qingqing seemed to be used to Qin Yun touching her. She did not say anything as she watched Yuan Yinying play in the rain in the medicinal garden. Little brat, what's going on with this medicinal garden? Yinying said that only if you agree can she reveal this secret. Zi Qingqing looked at Qin Yun and asked curiously, flag formation. While condensing spiritual energy, rain will fall at the same time. Qin Yun smiled. I set this up. Originally, the sect leader and the elders had classified this as a secret. However, now that Wei Zhongjing had become a martial king, there was no need to keep this a secret. Furthermore, he wanted others to know that their 9-extinction profound gate had such a powerful thing. Zi Qingqing was startled and revealed an expression of disbelief. When Qin Yun saw her shocked expression, he found it strange. He could not help but stretch out his hand and rub her slightly round face. Sister Steam Bun, what's wrong? The moment Qin Yun's hand touched Zi Qingqing's face, he didn't want to take it away. Zi Qingqing pushed Qin Yun's hand away and said in surprise, was this really set up by you? Only king-level sects have this kind of flag array. Qin Yun said with a smile. Now our 9-extinction profound gate also has it. Our sect master is a martial king, so we can be considered half a king sect. Did you really set it up? Zi Qingqing still did not believe it. If you don't believe me, then forget it. Qin Yun stuck out his tongue. Zi Qingqing lowered her head and said softly, can you help our Moon Profound Valley set up one as well? Qin Yun said with a smile, of course you can. However, this kind of flag array is very difficult to set up, so you have to use something to exchange with me. That's no problem. I'll go back and tell the elders of the Moon Profound Valley. I'll ask them to come here and talk to you. How about it? Zi Qingqing said somewhat excitedly. I can't negotiate such a big matter. She was worried that Qin Yun would refuse. She believed that as long as Qin Yun agreed to help set it up, the Moon Profound Valley would be able to discuss any conditions. However, don't make this matter too public. It's fine as long as the elders and headmasters of our 2 sects know about it. Qin Yun said, when you go back, tell them a time and have them come here to talk to me. All right. Zi Qingqing suddenly felt that it was nothing to be pinched by Qin Yun. If she could make the Moon Profound Valley have such a great formation, it would be a great contribution. Qin Yun took out a saber and asked, Sister Steam Bun, do you still remember the 2 royal grade spirit marks that were branded on your body last time? Zi Qingqing's face immediately flushed red as she nodded. Why did you bring this up? Didn't we agree not to mention it in the future? When Qin Yun saw the blushing Zi Qingqing, he could not help but pinch her face. However, he did not succeed. His hand was pushed away by Zi Qingqing. Little brat, let me tell you, if you want to rub my face in the future, you have to look at the occasion. Otherwise, it will embarrass me. Zi Qingqing said with a pout. Qin Yun said, Sister Steam Bun, I've refined a talisman weapon. During battle, I can create those kinds of spirit marks and brand them on other people's bodies. What harm will it cause after being branded on someone else's body? I want to know more. Zi Qingqing looked at Qin Yun's words and was secretly surprised. She never expected Qin Yun to create it so quickly. She said, the last time I was hit, I couldn't circulate my power smoothly and it made my body feel very uncomfortable. I felt as if something was sticking to my skin, and it was a little itchy and painful. In short, if you're hit by a talisman weapon in battle, you'll definitely be affected quite a bit. Zi Qingsheng said, the most powerful part of that kind of talisman weapon is that it can ignore armor and directly imprint on the surface of a person's skin. Qin Yun nodded in understanding. It can directly pass through armor and get on the skin. All right, Sister Steam Bun, your skin is really good. It's smooth and feels very good. You're still talking. Zi Qingsheng was so angry that she stomped on Qin Yun's foot. It was still raining when a white-clothed old man suddenly arrived. It was Wei Zhongzheng. He entered the medicine garden and saw Zi Qingsheng playing with Qin Yun. He was suddenly shocked. Isn't this little girl Qingsheng? Why are you here? Zi Qingsheng's hand was originally pinching Qin Yun's handsome face. When she saw that Wei Zhongzheng had arrived, she immediately let go and politely shouted, "Hello, Grandpa Wei. I never thought that Grandpa Wei would still remember me." Wei Zhongzheng chuckled and said, "Of course I remember. Back then, you were the prettiest little girl in the northern region, and you often stayed by old Madame Du's side. Later on, you also caused a lot of trouble and were chased out of the Moon Profound Valley. All right, I still remember that you have a famous nickname. You're called Purple Succubus, right?" Zi Qingsheng nodded somewhat shyly. "Grandpa Wei, your memory is really good. Sect Master, is she really the #1 beauty in the northern region? I can't tell." Qin Yun sized up Zi Qingsheng with a suspicious expression and asked, "Sect Master, why was she chased out back then? He's causing too much trouble." Wei Zhongzheng said with a smile, "Back then, many young geniuses were captivated by her, and many of them were killed by her. I didn't expect you two to know each other." When Qin Yun heard this, he hurriedly distanced himself from Zi Qingsheng. "Sister Steam Bun, so you're such a witch. You little brat. Do you know how powerful I am? If anyone else bullied me like you, they would have died thousands of times over." Zi Qingsheng snorted lightly. "Sect Master, I plan to help the Moon Profound Valley set up a 9-colored spirit rain formation," Qin Yun said. Zi Qingsheng hurriedly said, "Grandpa Wei, I will get Grandma due to talk to this little brat. Our Moon Profound Valley will definitely not mistreat him and try our best to satisfy his conditions." Wei Zhongzheng smiled and nodded. "That's good. I haven't seen old Madame Du in a long time. When the time comes, I could talk to her. Little Yun, the Inscription Royal City will become very lively in the next few days. Do you want to go watch the show? It's absolutely safe in the Inscription Royal City." Zi Qingsheng also said, "I almost forgot. That's the time when the Inscription Royal City updates the rankings every 100 years. At that time, there'll be a new ranking of inscriptionists, a ranking of beauties, a ranking of strength, and so on. With my face, can I get the title of the most handsome person in the northern region?" Qin Yun asked. "Dream on," Zi Qingsheng said. Wei Zhongzheng said with a smile, "Little Yun, you can try to rank your strength. There's a ranking of the youngest martial Dao realm cultivators. At that time, the young martial Dao realm cultivators of the various provinces will gather and compete. If you are ranked in the top 8, the rewards will be very generous." "What's first place?" Qin Yun hurriedly asked. "It should be a high-grade Xian pill, the mysterious soul ascension pill. It could allow the martial spirit to evolve and become stronger. Because, generally speaking, the youngest martial Dao realm cultivators in the various provinces are at the 2nd or 3rd level of the martial body realm. They need the mysterious soul ascension pill," Zi Qingsheng said. Qin Yun said with a smile, "Then I'll give a try and see if I can get first place. Sister Steam Bun, are you coming with me?" "No, I'm going back to the Moon Profound Valley," Zi Qingsheng said. "I'm leaving now." After saying that, she flew over and bid farewell to Yuan, Yinning before following Wei Zhongzheng out of the medicinal garden. Qin Yun chatted with Yuan, Yinning for a while. He also knew that Zi Qingsheng had imparted some cultivation techniques to her and guided her to the basics. It was of great help to her. After Wei Zhongzheng returned, he left the Nine Extinction Gate with Qin Yun and headed for the Inscription Royal City. The Heavenly Fire Martial King had been completely killed by Wei Zhongjing. The head was still hanging outside. As long as one approached the Nine Extinction Gate, they would be able to see the head of the Heavenly Fire Martial King. This had a great deterrent effect. Of course, this had also completely infuriated the Fire King sect. A few Xian martial realm cultivators from the Sword Profound Mountain had also been killed. At this moment, they shared a common enemy with the Fire King sect. They had already joined forces and announced to the outside world that they were officially declaring war on the Nine Extinction Gate. Furthermore, they wanted their disciples to immediately kill the disciples of the Nine Extinction Gate as long as the conditions allowed. As long as they killed a disciple of the Nine Extinction Gate, they would be rewarded with 1,000,000 purple coins. Wei Zhongjing was now a martial king, and the Nine Extinction Formation was very strong. Even a martial king would not be able to break through it, so he had nothing to worry about for the time being. Although the Heavenly Fire Martial King was dead, there were still martial kings in the Fire King sect. Naturally, they had to take revenge on the people who provoked their Fire King sect. This could establish prestige. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.